All right, 9:40 on the dot. I finally started the show on time. Didn't have to do any preliminary typing finally to prepare for the show. And so here we are on Friday night, December the 21st, 2018, coming up on Christmas week. And so I hope everybody is in good spirits, having a good time, got the Christmas spirit going on, or whatever spirit is that is appropriate for your particular system of celebration. And my name's Rusty. I'm from Stunthangar.com control line forums, and I'll be your host here for the next couple of hours, at least until 12 midnight Eastern US time. And we'll talk about aeromodeling and all the things you like to do in your shop or at the field, or whatever else it is you like to do with tools, planes, trains, automobiles. And our first visitor is the man himself, Sparky. Hold on while I let him into the show. And boom, there you are, Sparky. I finally figured out how to one-click everybody in. How you doing tonight?
Pretty good.
Good.
I'm off for 4 days.
Oh, great. So you driving back home tomorrow or something like that?
No, I was going to take 2 weeks off to come back the 3rd of January, but we had a guy die at work, so
Oh, God.
I'm going to have to fill in for him.
I'm sorry. Hope it wasn't work related. It doesn't matter. It's terrible anyway, but.
No, 63 years old. He died of a heart attack at home.
Oh, mercy. That's way too young to die. But I'm sorry for his friends and family. That's terrible time of the year to have something like that happen to your family. But well, anyway, oh, Jamie Halford's coming in. Let me let Jamie in, and click, bang. Jamie should be lit, and Jamie is lit. Good evening, Jamie.
Hey.
You're our second video guest. I didn't have to do any dead air talking tonight. Y'all dropped right in, so I appreciate that. And our little campaign to get more of our video visitors helping me out with the YouTube chat is working out pretty well. I think each night for the past week, more of you have been helping me keep track of the conversations that are going on over there. So that's a help. I appreciate that. We got 4 viewers on YouTube right now. That should pick up. The numbers have been increasing. We've had in the 20s several times last week over on YouTube. So getting them involved is a big thing. So what's everybody working on?
Well, I'm working on my new airplane.
How about you, Jamie? What you got on the table?
The Shark 402 that I'm making into a combat plane.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Now, Shark 402, is that a profile or a full fuse?
Profile. It's a Brodat kit.
Okay. How did you get the kit intending to build a Shark and then just decide to turn it into a combat plane?
Yeah, I mean, I started this like a year ago. And I had stopped whenever after I did the lead outs on the bell crank and realized they only come out about 4 inches from the wingtip. It irritated me so much I just put it on the wall and ain't touched it since the other day. But they got this speed limit combat event next week, and they're flying profiles and whatnot. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this one to the dogs and have some fun.
You got 400 airplanes, don't you?
Yeah, it feels like it. But only 3 profiles I don't mind smashing up.
Y'all getting any feedback, chatter in the audio?
I just got some for like 2 seconds a little bit ago, but that was it.
It comes and goes. So it's I don't think it's any of us causing it. Well, of course, still not back to building, but my wife did go out to the shop to get some supper out of the freezer and came back and reported that the floor is dry in there. So any water that crept in last week with the rains dried out, and it poured today. The road was flooded in front of the house again, but evidently the shop is holding its own, and I'm glad to hear that, because I worry about the humidity going so high out there with my wooden treasures soaking up the humidity.
We got 7 watchers now.
Yes, we do. Thanks, guys, all you people over on YouTube. If y'all want to click that super chat $sign at the bottom of the chat box, we appreciate it. That helps Sparky keep up with server fees and equipment that he needs to keep this show going, keep the show free, and keep making videos at contests and on shop days. And so, you know, if you can, click it and give us a little walking around change. If you can't, that's fine. If you don't want to, that's fine too. So anyway, welcome everybody to the YouTube chat box. And I've been taking measures, as most of y'all probably know by now, to get y'all more involved in our conversations here. And so I hope that's working out. You're on a phone, aren't you, Jamie? When you talk
my laptop. I mean, I'm on my phone right now, but on here through my laptop.
Yeah. So if you wanted to, you could pull up the chat box. Do you know how to do that? Were you here when we were talking about it?
Yeah, from YouTube, and then put it over on here.
Yeah. That's a huge help to me, because I like to keep up with their conversations. And more of them than there are of us. So,
Is there going to be a Monday show?
No, there will not. I won't be home Monday to do a show.
I'll do a show then.
Okay.
I have nothing to do.
Sounds good. I'm glad you asked, because I would have forgotten all about that. I don't keep a calendar in my head very well, and so yeah, no Rusty on Monday this coming week.
Of course, I don't know. I'm not real good at talking, you know, about nothing.
Thank you. I guess that's a backdoor compliment, huh?
If I don't get any people in the first half hour, I'll just shut it off.
Yeah. It usually doesn't go that long. Sometimes it feels like a half hour, but I think last week, when it was one of my longest days, I think I went for almost 30 minutes with nobody to talk to except for 2 guys on the tube side. But somebody will use Bob Bishop will usually drop in and entertain you if he sees you struggling for attention. So anyway, yeah, Christmas, no telling. A lot of people are busy, so it is what it is. Hope everybody has a Merry Christmas.
Yep.
What kind of shirt you wearing there, Jamie? Who's on that shirt?
That's let's see. That is the most interesting man in the world.
Frank Donnelly just joined.
Yeah, I'm clicking him in right now. Hang on, Frank, and you'll be right with us. Bang, there you are. Good evening,
guys. How's everybody tonight?
Good. I'm sitting in my new Christmas present tonight. My wife answered the door when the bell rang today, and in came a giant box with a top of the line Lazy Boy executive reclining desk chair. So it's too big to show, but yeah, man, it's comfortable. It's great too. And when I lean all the way back, I don't feel like I'm laying in a bed like I did. I had to stuff that other chair with pillows just to be able to see over the steering wheel, so to speak. But this is great. Got great lumbar support, keeps my bony butt from getting numb, and so it's a great present.
Great.
Says Jack Snavely says he's working on a clear dope coach on a junior ringmaster, thinking on a stunt plane. I have here It's in a box. Inverted engine. I have done a similar one 20 years ago, but the Ringmaster is refresher. I'm rusty.
Yeah, I guess you mean your building's a little rusty, huh? So, well, you know, if you want to build it and give us a report and pictures, and that way you can ask us questions, and as you go, we can keep you on track. Those of us who have the answers to your questions, and a lot of my building time is spent sitting at the table scratching my head too, you know, trying to figure out how to do something or try to remember the way I did it last time. So yeah, that's what this show's all about. If you want to make your build a part of it, then we'll help you out. I guess the weather up in your part of the country is not too great for flying. Kansas, right? And I don't know if y'all got snow or not, but I know you get real winter weather there. Not to take anything away from these Missouri and Michigan guys. Where are you, Frank? I forgot where you said you were.
I'm in Delaware, the Delaware, Philadelphia area.
Okay, northeast.
Yeah. So we're getting a lot of rain. We had rain all day yesterday and today, but it's looking like it's going to clear up for us maybe Sunday. So I'm hoping to finish the Cardinal last week, and I'm hoping to get out and fly on Sunday, maybe. First flight with it.
All right. Yeah, we'll await your flight report. Or whatever. Your crash report or flight report. We take the good, the bad, and the ugly here.
Well, I'm hoping for the best. It came out at 45 ounces, 45.1.
And say what kind of plane it is again?
Cardinal.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not bad for a Cardinal at all. A Cardinal kit or a Cardinal R?
It was a kit, but I basically threw away all the wood, and the only thing that's kit in it is the ribs. Now, it's all been redesigned. Even though it's profile, the fuselage is pretty well built up and covered with carbon veil, things like that. So I did a lot to make it lighter. The tail's all built up.
Yeah.
The flaps are built up. And I've got an LA-46 on it. So hoping for the best.
Yeah. Are you taking pictures as you go?
Yeah, I took pictures as I got a ton of them. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you can do a show and tell here if you want to. You might have already showed it, and I forgot. But yeah, if you want to do a show and tell on it, that'd be great.
Well, maybe I'll do it next time because they're not on this laptop. They're on my other computer.
Yeah.
I had to move them over.
Yeah, it's good to get them all in one folder, and screen sharing gets complicated when they're all over the place.
Yeah, right.
Oh, tired.
So Sparky, what have you been up to? I thought you were going to make another build video. I started to watch your first one. Haven't seen anything since.
Nobody's asked me how to do anything, so I just been kind of cutting ribs.
All right.
Stockpiling kit parts is always a good idea. Jack says we've had 2 weeks of snow over a month since we went flying last time. This show and Sparky's show helped in more ways than one. Yeah. Yeah, this show's helped me a lot keep my head in the game while I'm while I'm on the bench, so to speak, instead of at the bench.
Basically what I just cutting ribs.
So what's that going to be, Sparky?
It's a third one in the series of the XLs.
Okay.
It's been redesigned slightly.
So are you gonna cut out the centers of the outboard? I assume that's the outboard ribs that don't have any holes in them. Are you gonna leave them solid?
No, I'm cutting holes in them.
Oh.
That's what I'm doing right now. This is the inboard wing. It's upside down.
Yeah, okay.
But I got the outboard wing right here. What the heck? Outboard wing is right here. It's all framed up, ready to go.
Yeah, looks good.
Weighs 1.5 ounces.
Wow, that's nice and light. When you go for spars, do you go with really light wood, or do you go with a little bit firmer wood for the spars?
I like B grain, little denser wood for the spars. Yeah. But I use 3/16. I don't use 1/4 inch.
Mm-hmm.
Are you still using your cutter, Sparky, to make templates or masks to paint?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was wondering, I would like to try and figure out, I guess it's not too really complicated. I mean, basically I know how to do it, but I'm not quite sure how to use the registration marks. Say I want to put my AMA number on the plane, but I want to give it a drop shadow. So I imagine I need to make two masks, but I need to register them some way so that I can lay the other one just without trying to do it by eye.
Do you have a what cutter do you have?
I don't have it. What cutter I have is old and it's not so good anymore. I'm ordering a new one. I'm going to get a US cutter, and it's going to be the smaller one, not the big one like you have, the 14-inch one, the desktop model.
Okay, well, I'll show you how to do it. It's not a big deal. Okay. All right, for you guys who are following along, this is Sure Cuts a Lot Pro. It goes with the US cutter. Let me get it open here. Okay, I'm going to share the screen with you.
Okay, I've got you clicked up for the YouTube feed.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and do a share all. Present to everyone. There we go. Everybody.
Right. This is the program here, and instead of why do I have Google on there? Oh, I see. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make this bigger so I can see what I'm doing. Do that by Control++.
Okay.
And we'll bring it up here like so. I'm just using my thumb wheel to bring it up. Okay, if you look at this particular box here, the toolbar here, we have some shapes. Well, the first thing you're going to want to do is make a rectangle. So the rectangles come out here, and we'll just open it up like so. Now, we have a background of white, but we don't really want that, but we'll go ahead and leave that white for now so you can see the registry, and I'll make the letters red, and then I'll take the letters out, or the colors out of it. So you've made a box, and now we're going to do some text in that box. And what's your AMA number?
68215.
Oh, wait a minute. 68215.
All right.
Okay. I'll go up here and we'll hit the select arrow so I can stretch it and make it bigger. You can do it with several different ways. It's just easier to do it this way. There's some tricks that you can use with the center to make sure it's perfectly centered too. But we'll make it 3 inches by whatever length that is. That's 3 by whatever. And we'll make the color, the fill, we'll make that red so you can see it.
Okay.
Am I in here?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's too.
Hey, Mike. Hey, Charles.
Okay. Yeah, I can't see anybody else's feed.
I've got Sparky
I got you.
locked in on
All right.
full screen.
All right, you have the you got echoes too. You have the letters in the box, and we're going to look for a different font. That's I like that font. So we'll select text and highlight it. Okay, if you go over here, you'll see the Arial symbol. And the nice thing about this program is you can page up or page down. So we'll go through that. That's about a boom. And you can see what font you want to use just by arrowing up and down.
Yep.
Let's go up to Airstrike. That's a pretty good font. That was cool.
There you go.
That is a shadowed airstrike, but we'll do it with this airstrike here. So that's the first thing you want to do. We want to select it and center it out. So we want to make sure that it fits inside this box. We want to make sure that it's the size that you want. We're making ours 3 inches. Okay. For some reason it's not centered in there. I don't know why. There we go. You can arrow over. Okay, it's centered in there now. You can use the program to center. Mike, you got some feedback. You got a window open or something?
I
No,
don't hear it anymore.
I'm not talking.
You don't have to be talking to get the feedback. Anyway,
It's clear now.
My heater's running. Can you be hearing that maybe? My propane heater?
no.
I think we're all clear now. This thing just gets feedback. Sometimes there's nothing we can do about it.
Okay.
I don't think
Well,
it's
I was
right.
bouncing back and forth between my 5G network and my 2G network, and I finally settled on one. I think, is it okay now?
All right, so now you have your layout of the number set that you're going to use. We're gonna make those clear now or none. Color, we don't want color. Cancel, come on. This program usually runs a lot faster, but using up all the bandwidth.
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay, so now you want to take the color out of the bounding box as well.
Gotcha.
So you want none. And why do we have fill on that? Color, none. None. There we are. Okay, you see we have no color, no white, no nothing.
Right.
That's where the cutter is going to cut. So now we need to index this to the top, I think would be better. We'll use these little index marks here, over and up. And we'll grab this here. Oh man. Let's do this. All right, I'm going to grab it and join it together. So we're going to link this all together. You encircle it like this. And let's see here, object group. You can hardly see what I'm doing here. Over here. Pay attention. Object group. All right, now this whole thing is grouped together.
Right.
So that's your bounding box, and that's what you're going to use. You're going to right click, copy, and then paste. And you see the second layer that it put out there?
Yep.
Okay, you're going to use your bounding boxes to index this stuff with. So now we're going to take this and ungroup it. Object, ungroup, and then we're going to grab this box here, and if you want it indexed to the right or to the left, let's say to the right, that's 2 arrows over, and then we're going to bounding box it again and group it. Object, group, object, group, and now we'll go up to the top with it, and then over to the side, and you see how they're off and down a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
But the bounding boxes are one over the top of each other. So you lay your first mask down. Let's say it's going to be a black shadow. Lay the first mask down black, and you use the bounding box on your next one to lay right over the top of that bounding box in the same spot and put the mask on. It's real simple to do.
Okay, so you're actually using the box itself. You're not putting like registration marks on there or anything.
No, I just use the box.
Okay. That makes sense. All right, thanks.
There's probably a lot of photo editing programs you can do that with. Looks like this is called Cuts a Lot, or Surecuts. Surecuts a Lot 3.
No. Yeah, that's exactly right. And I saved the projects like this, like I did John Jordan's Sunoco, and I also did his decals. Let's see, file, open project, open that one, open, and let's see, object, file, open project, checks, and the Sunoco. Let's look at that one there. I did that for his airplane, and these Sunoco grabs were just off the web. You know, I just took them off the web and did a file trace on them.
Okay.
So you can do anything. And if you'll notice the checkerboards, you know, that I put, that way you only have to paint mask one time. You know, he laid the checks out separately. You can lay them out all together.
So when you lay the checkers out for a checkerboard, is that just a bunch of copy and pasting?
That one there is, yes, but I can make it a grid, and you know, on this one here, I did one checkerboard, then did two, and linked them together, and then copied and pasted two more, and so on and so forth. That's how I did those, because he wanted to do that individual individually.
Okay.
And that's how that works.
All right,
cool.
thanks. I appreciate it.
See if I can stop presenting. Okay. All right. It was a good tutorial.
Well, I probably could do a better one if I wasn't doing it on screen share, because it just eats up the bandwidth like crazy. I mean, you see the arrow jumping around.
Yeah. Video editing eats up resources to computer resources. So what you got going on tonight, Mike Lunke?
I'm going to sneak out of the garage and have a cigarette. I'll be back with you in a second.
Okay.
My wife's here, so I got to be careful I don't get busted smoking.
Oh, Lord, yeah, you don't want that. How about you, Charles? What's going on with you? Are you within earshot? If not, he's got his mic muted anyway.
If you want, I'll do another cuts a lot tutorial.
Yeah, I would welcome it.
I'm pretty sure I've probably got a program that'll do all of that. I've got several video editors.
No, this is a cutter. It's a plotter. It cuts those files.
Yeah. Okay.
I have the MH871 right here. Plotter.
All right.
This is my little tiny apartment here. Airplanes everywhere. Yeah, it's kind of a bummer I'm not going home for Christmas, but whatever.
Hey, Sparky.
Yeah.
I can answer your question about what length that pipe is supposed to be now. I actually, I wasn't, you got to pardon my ignorance, but I'm new to piped engines, so I didn't really know what you were asking me in our last chat. Because in the instructions, it says to measure from the glow plug back, but I didn't know there was a pipe chart listed on Stunthangar that tells the correct length for the pipes and all that. So after a phone call with Randy Smith, he clued me in on what the pipe lengths are going to be for certain engines and stuff. And then I looked at the pipe chart. So after talking to Randy, he said the correct length for that pipe for the 65, for the pipe that he sent me, is 18 3/8 inches. He said to cut it there. So I didn't really understand the question because I didn't know. I didn't know where you were supposed to cut them or that there was even a measurement involved. That stuff's new to me.
There's a line on the pipe. It's the first baffle.
Yep, correct. Mm-hmm.
From the glow plug to the first baffle. I'm running 19.5 on my 75.
Yeah, you're talking about right there.
Yeah.
I don't know how well you can see that, but
I see it because I know the pipe.
Yeah, so from there to the glow plug, he said should be 18 3/8 inches. And then it was interesting because I read a little bit on Randy's little blurb there about, the engine speeding up and the engine slowing down to move the pipe in or out, whether to shorten it or lengthen it. So that'll be something new for me too,
I take it you haven't flown it yet, huh?
No, I haven't. I mean, I got all the stuff. I actually was waiting till I had methanol. I had to go out this morning and I bought a couple gallons of methanol so I can make some fuel for it. I should be able to get it all together this weekend. I mean, I know I said that last time, but I wasn't in a hurry to do it because I didn't have fuel for it. Now I've got everything to make the fuel. So, I mean, it's really just a matter of cutting the pipe, installing the engine's already in. I just got to cut the pipe and install it, and then put the landing gear back on it. And the 65 will be ready to fly because it's broken in. And then I'll get the 61 on the engine stand after I get some fuel made up. And this week while we're home, I should be able to break the 61 in. So
When you buy methanol, do you just get like stove fuel, or do you get a special fuel for engines type methanol?
No, I buy it from the speed shop, from the drag racing shop right down the road. I get it for like $4 a gallon, and then I've got 2.5 gallons of nitro here from Torco, and then I'm running the Klotz Super Technoplate.
Right.
How much was nitro a gallon?
I'm sorry.
How much was the nitro per gallon?
Well, I was fortunate. The last 2 gallons I bought from the speed shop, I got them for $52, which is and it's Torco. And I was getting Torco on eBay for $50 delivered, no delivery charge, shipped for free. But Torco raised their price. I believe Torco is now about $80 a gallon if you order it on eBay. But the speed shop, they had a few gallons left, and I was able to get it at that price last fall. So I don't know what the current pricing is on it now, but I paid $52 a gallon for the last 2.
You're going to mix it 10% or 5%?
Randy said to run 10 in it, so that's what I'm going to do, 10% nitro. I mean, I can make whatever. I know on the oil, he said just to use the Super Technoplate full on at 20% oil because it is 20% caster in the jug. So that makes for easy mixing anyway.
Well, I'll tell you about nitro. In the cool weather, you want to run low nitro.
Mm-hmm. I read that.
And as it starts heating up, 80, 100 degrees, you want to go 5%, 7.5%, 10%. If the airplane's charging, instead of changing the pipe, you can go down in nitro too. That motor's got plenty of power to run on 5% nitro. That's what I'm running my 75 on.
Okay. Should I break the 61 in on 5% then?
Yeah, why not? I mean,
since it's so cool.
Oh yeah.
Okay. The electric stunt plane was a big success. We put up about 10 flights on it last week. I think Tuesday we had decent weather, and we went out there and we ran through 10 batteries on it. It flies really good, man. I'm really impressed with it. At full throttle, it's pretty zippy. It flies pretty good at full throttle, but you don't need it. I found out just about 3/4 throttle was enough to stunt the airplane, and I was doing all the maneuvers. I mean, it'll fly the full pattern. I flew it on 52-foot Spectre lines in the backyard.
I like the F4U Corsair fan you got above your head.
Oh, you like that?
Yeah.
You never saw that, Sparky?
What's that?
You haven't seen that before?
No.
Yeah. That belonged to a modeling friend of mine. It was a store display. Well, they used to sell them at Home Depot, I guess, 20 years ago or something. And that one was a store display that my buddy talked him out of, and it hung in his shop. And he had to move to a smaller place, and he gave me that for Samuel. That hung in Sam's bedroom at our old house for about 10 years. It was on the wall in Sam's room. And then when we moved here, Samuel already has a fan in his room, so I stuck it in the shop.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah, I was gonna get one that was just the nose. It didn't have the wings. They were hanging on the ceiling of our local AAA Mets baseball affiliate. And when they tore the building down, they were gonna save me one, but it never happened. Nobody knew anything about it after it was all said and done. So
Yeah, this one's complete, man. It's got the wings, the wheels, the tail. It's got everything, man. It's pretty neat. And
yeah,
actually, they made there was a P-40 Warhawk and a P-51 Mustang as well. They had three of them, three
yeah.
different ones.
I like that Corsair. That's about the coolest looking plane.
Do you know why it has a gull wing?
Yeah.
Why?
So the prop can clear the deck.
What happened was that when they designed that airplane, it had a straight wing, it had long landing gear, and when it came in on the deck, it would, poke the gear through the wings because of, it had a great big motor, had a 14-foot propeller on it, so they gulled the wing so they could shorten up the landing gear, and they moved the pilot back behind the wing. That's why the cockpit is so far back, so he could see the deck as it's coming into the carrier.
Interesting.
We had one of those sitting at the control tower at Miramar.
Rusty, did you see the flight videos of the electric plane on Facebook?
No, I didn't. I hadn't been on the computer at all since last time we talked.
Okay, they're in control line flying on the Facebook page.
Okay.
I let Sam maiden it, and I worked the throttle for him, and he didn't want to stun it. I was like, loop it. He's like, no, first flight, I'm not going to do it. And then I flew it after that, and I had the phone in one hand and the handle in the other, and I had Sam working the throttle, and I put it through its paces. Like I said, I'm pretty happy with it, man. It flies really, really
That's great. Yeah, there's a lot on there that I've said I'm going to look at. I still got to catch up on my watching, but I'll be sure to look at it. So Jamie switched over to a Flight Streak R for now, huh?
Yeah, piecing them together.
That's his combat plane, man. He's going to be flying that in combat in Houston next week.
That one and this one. They're roughly almost the same, pretty much the same size. Actually, the Flight Street's bigger. Oh, man. Well, Mike, the suggestion about that washer in front of the bearing on the Stunthangar 25.
Yeah.
It took two of them washers, and now it's good to go.
Was that it? It was missing the washer behind the dry plate?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good now, and that's the remote setup.
Hold on. Okay, that looks like an OS 1A needle. That should run on a bladder, okay?
All right.
But what you're going to want to do is take that needle out and put a piece of fuel tubing in it. Here, get me clicked up here so you can see. So, because they will leak, but that's the needle you need. That'll run on a bladder. So I've got the needle out, and can you see there's a piece of fuel line right there?
Hold it up. There you go.
Can you see that?
Yeah.
So it's maybe a 1/4 inch, maybe a little bit less. You want that in there because it will leak a little bit under pressure. So when you get this all the way closed, it should be smushing down that piece of fuel line a little bit, okay? And then when you're running on a bladder, literally you're probably only going to open it a 1/4 turn, and that's going to be enough to make the engine run. So open it a 1/4 turn, you do a bleed test on it, and watch the fuel, tip the airplane upside down so the venturi's pointed down, and watch the fuel coming out, let some fuel out, and it should be a steady drip, like drip, 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 drip. If it's going drip, 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 it's too slow. Open it up a click. But if it's coming out in a stream, that's too much. It should be like drip, 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 drip. That's a good starting point for that. But that needle should run on a bladder, that engine right there, just the way it's set up. It should be fine.
All right. And I got
as long as you put that piece of fuel line in there to keep it from leaking, because there's a real coarse thread in there in that needle, and on a suction tank it doesn't matter. It's not going to leak because it's drawing fuel on suction. On a bladder, you're forcing fuel through there, and it's going to escape anywhere that it can. But yeah, you got the setup right there.
All right, I also have this one.
No, that won't work.
Okay.
That one will leak all over.
Then I have this.
That back it up again. What's the number on the page?
It is it's for a 10 RC, so
that'll work too.
Yep.
That'll work too, as long as you put a piece of fuel line in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing you want to do, look at this one again, is make a bracket. Can you see the bracket on there?
Yeah.
Okay, so on that needle, there is a nut close to the nozzle. There's a nut above the nozzle, because that's the tightening nut when you screw it. Because what that is that goes into a carburetor for an RC plane.
Yeah.
And you use that nut to tighten it up after you screw it in. So in between that nut and the nozzle, you need to make a little bracket like this. And this is actually just from a hose clamp. This is the solid part of a hose clamp.
Mm-hmm.
Take some snips, cut a little piece, put 2 holes in it, and then one goes on the nozzle, and then put the nut on, and then you put an L-bend in it. And the way you mount that to your airplane, I already got one out here for you, so you can see it. Hang on, I gotta turn my camera. Okay, so that is just that little L bracket right there. So you can see the needle goes through part of it, and there's the nut, and then it's got a 90-degree bend in it with a hole, and you just, in place of a washer on your mounting lug, you put that right on your engine, right up top. See what's going on there?
Oh yeah.
That's why it's in line and it don't snap off.
And look at the orientation of the, that's why it's got the 90 in it. You don't want it sticking straight up, and you don't want it sticking out to the side. You want to try to orient it so that it's, and then, and literally with that needle, if you get it close on the bleed test, it's only going to take 1 or 2 clicks in either direction to get the engine running where you need it to be. Be running in a fast 4, a little sloppy, and then when you pinch the line, it should go into a 2. It should lean out. And it's okay to send it up rich, because as soon as you let go of it, it's going to unload and it's going to lean out.
All right.
If you pinch the fuel line while it's running and it doesn't speed up or it wants to die, it's too lean. Open the needle just 1 click and then try it again. Do that pinch test again. But you want to send them up fat on a bladder, because they'll lean out in the air.
All right. So the way how this one is with the needle going backwards, that's good like it is?
I mean, yeah, if it all fits on there, that's got a wooden plastic back plate, and even with that with the bracket on there, if you crash it hard enough the right way, it's going to crack your back plate, because you're using the same bolts for the back plate and the bracket to hold the needle on.
Mm-hmm.
So you'd be sacrificing a bracket. A back plate. That's why I always, even on my LA-25s, I always mount them going through an engine bolt, through a lug bolt. I always make that bracket and run them through.
All right, that'd be easy to change then.
You don't have any what?
That would be easy to switch up.
Well, you can probably use that metal bracket that's on there.
Mm-hmm.
Take it off the back plate and bend it on a 90 and run an engine bolt through it. Run a lug bolt through it. You know what I'm saying? It's making one. Well, yeah. Or the other thing that they'll take you like.
Sparky says he's going to sign off. Okay, Sparky.
See you
See you
Monday.
later.
See ya.
Use a line clip like this. Use a line clip like this and put a 90-degree bend in it. And then you've got a hole for the needle valve to go through. And then you've got a hole for the engine bolt to go through.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you can use that as a bracket too. Just put a 90-degree bend in it, close it. I mean, put the slide on it and close it, and then bend it 90 degrees. And then your needle would go through one end and your engine mounting bolt would go through the other. You don't see a lot of guys mounting needles to back plate. That's all. Almost everybody uses some kind of bracket of some sort.
Okay. Yeah, because I got a bunch of these 46 LA remotes.
They're no good for combat.
No, I was saying about like the bracket though. I can modify the bracket.
Oh yeah. You could modify the back bracket. Yeah, those needles would be good if they weren't so coarse thread, man. The problem with those leak so bad, and you can't put fuel line over those to make them work. That's the issue. We've tried them, believe me, because I probably have 30 of those in my junk box from pull-offs from converting RC engines to control line. And if we could use them for combat, believe me, we'd be using them. But they're shit. You can't use them.
Mm-hmm. You'll
just have problems. You have a problem. But you've got two of the right needles there. That one on that Thunder Tiger is the right one, and that OS 10 needle, that one will work too. As long as you put the little piece of fuel line in there, you'll be able to get them running.
Cool.
And then if you get the Tiger 35, that one on suction should run like a bat out of hell for combat, even if it's a plane carrying the C-35 or the V-35. Both of those on suction should easily run 75 miles an hour with the right prop.
Cool. And here's my options with bladders because I got a variety. So I got these already pretty much made up. You got the little pickup thing.
Yeah, what's the diameter of the bladder tubing?
The inside looks about 1/4 inch.
Okay, so that's the big stuff. That's the thick stuff.
I got 1/4 inch. This is a 1/4 inch. I got these. This actually looks smaller. Actually, these might actually be 5/16.
Okay, so the red stuff looks like half a bladder. The yellow stuff looks like the right. Yeah, the yellow stuff looks like the right size for speed limit.
Yeah, Ken Cook gave me a bunch of that yellow stuff.
And so, like, to finish it off, just tie it in a knot in the back, and that's it.
You can, or you can hang on one.
Put a dowel.
Plug it with a rifle cartridge or something like that.
I'm thinking like like a wood dowel with a zip tie on it.
No, a dowel's not going to work. Give me a second. I'll show you exactly what you need, and I'll tell you where you can go to get it.
And my other options, I got a couple of these pacifier bladders.
Yeah, you got to have a big compartment for that because they turn into a ball instead of a wiener.
No pacifiers.
Not for the big engines.
Not unless you want back to the day when pacifiers were the best choice.
Yeah, I got a whole pack of these red caps. Not even sure what they're for.
Oh, those are good. Yeah, those work on half A real well.
I mean, but like, what do you do with them now?
Oh, you're just gonna roll them and put a same kind of plug you've got in that yellow bladder.
Oh, okay. I got you now. Yeah, I see. So basically, it rolls like a rubber, and you just put the little insert in it, zip tie it down, and have a blast.
That's it.
Oh shit! I've been trying to figure out what the hell it was used for the last 8 months that I've had it.
They work great too. And I don't know about bigger planes, but I know they work great on half A.
Okay. So Jamie, if you go, this is the bladder ends that I use right here. If you go to Lowe's or Home Depot in the gardening section, here I'm going to do this so we can get a good picture of it.
Minnesota Mike says the red caps don't last very long.
No, red cap last. You got the right stuff there. So that is called a goof. It's in the lawn and garden section at Home Depot or Lowe's. It is for sprinkler line repair. Called the goof plug, and when you buy it, it might be on a. Oh, what the hell do you call that damn thing that when models come? Carrier. Might be on a carrier, or have a little tab on the end or something like that. But you see how it's got. And it's a perfect end cap when you plug it in, and then you put your zip tie around it.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a ridge on it. It's got a ridge on it right there. Okay. Goof plugs, Home Depot or Lowe's.
All right.
If you don't want to, and make sure you use the small zip ties, the little ones, the narrow ones, not the big ones. Use the ones that are.
I got a bunch of those included too.
Okay. Yep. Use the little ones and get them tight. If you don't want to do that, you can tie it in a knot, but you have to work that knot down till it's really small, and you got to do it without perforating the tubing, which can be a little bit hard.
Nah.
If you pull it too tight,
copper wire would probably do it too.
Pull it too tight, you're gonna put a hole in it.
Yeah, I'd rather just go easy with a zip tie. I mean, a lot less hassle.
The goof plugs are the way to go, man. Like I said, they're in the lawn. And that's the brand name of them, goof plugs. If you go in there and they're 1/4 inch is the size, 1/4 inch, ask somebody in lawn and garden for goof plugs, and he'll tell you right where they're at. And they're cheap, man. It's like $3 and you get like 20.
What are they for? Just plug in fuel lines and stuff?
No, they're for plugging irrigation lines.
Oh, okay.
Like if you ran a line up, because the way irrigation's line work, they've got a barb on them that you can stick into the hose. And if you didn't get your measurement right and that's not where you wanted the branch off to be, you take one of the goof plugs and stick it in with silicone, and it fixes it. That's why it's called a goof plug.
All right.
So irrigation guys, if they don't lay it out just right and they put a branch line in the wrong spot, they plug it with a goof plug. But they work great.
Jeff Riley chimes in. He says, if you're interested, I have a Tiger G2135, an old combat engine he bought from Russ Wilcox, and it could be for sale.
Well, if that's one of Russ Wilcox's engines, that's probably a runner, man. The problem is he needs it by next Friday. He's going to a contest.
Like I said, my hobby shop usually has 2 or 3 of them in stock already. You know.
Well, I think the smart thing, Jamie, if they've got a tire there, pick one up because it'll run the speed on suction, and then set up that Thunder Tiger 25 on a bladder on one of those planes. Then you'll at least have 2 planes ready to go, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, Stubblefield's going to be there. Lester's going to be there. All the guys will help you. Nobody's going to leave you hanging. They'll get your equipment sorted out. Did you get straightened out on the line length thing? Did we finally get all that figured out?
Yeah, I got it. You know, from handle to center of plane, basically, 6 foot, give or take 6 inches.
60 feet plus or minus. So now, I've never met you in person. Are you a tall guy with long arms?
6'3".
Okay, so I'm going to give you my super secret combat tip, man, for free. Since you're a tall guy and you got long arms, I would run 60 feet, 5 inches. Run long, because what that enables you to do is you can get on the edge of the pilot circle and hang your arm way out there. So you got the extra 6 inches on your lines and you got your long arm, the other guy's not going to be able to line up to get a cut. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
If your arms are longer and your line is at the max, you're going to be farther outside the circle than he is. Because you have to stand in a pilot circle. You're not allowed. Yeah. So if you're on the edge of the pilot circle, you got your arm hung out and you're running long lines and you're flying stubs whose arms are only a foot long.
Yeah.
Even if he's running 60 and 6 inches, he ain't going to be able to line up with you to get a cut. Because your hand, I mean, in combat, your hand's got to line up, or at least the line lengths do. So that 1 foot, if someone's running short, if they're running 59.6 and they're running short and they got short arms, there's only so far outside the circle they're gonna be able to go.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an advantage to be big with long arms and run long lines. That's all I'm gonna say.
Now we just broadcast your super secret all the way around the world.
Everybody knows that anyway, man.
Yeah, I figured.
Not really a big secret, man.
But one thing I am curious about with these tubes, with the bladders, is there a certain length to cut it?
Yes. On a 25, I'm assuming they're going to run 5-minute matches.
4.
That's 4 minutes. Okay. You only need like 2 ounces of fuel in that bladder.
Mm-hmm.
2 ounces of fuel is going to get you 4 minutes. No problem. No problem at all. I run 4 ounces in my 40s, and for a 5-minute match in Huntersville, I usually put 2.5, 2 3/4 for a 25. So, 2 1/4 ounces, and I'll show you my 25 bladders here. Let me get the ruler out. So that's a 5 bladder, and that's just over 2 inches. Just over 2. About
so on my half A's, I have to train the bladders to inflate at the front end. Does it matter with these? Do you have to train them before you use them to inflate at one end?
We do train them, but it depends on your setup. So a lot of guys train them from the bottom, but the issue there is, you got to make sure you got enough fuel line, because when you train them from the bottom, you got to make sure that it's all the way to the back of the bladder compartment, because as you fill it, it's going to push forward. If you put the nozzle right next to the opening and train them from the back, it's going to push. It's going to fill up from back to front. It's going to try to push the nozzle out of the hole.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I do guys that run them front to back, and they'll put a little piece of safety wire around the edge here, little safety wire to keep it from sucking into the bladder compartment. It's personal choice. It doesn't matter on the engine run. It doesn't matter one way or another. So, but yeah, 2 ounces, 2 1/4 ounces. I would be surprised if that Thunder Tiger took more than 2.5 ounces to run for 4 minutes. That would be a surprise to me. So,
It would be a surprise to me if I make it 4 minutes.
yeah, you will, man. Listen, combat guys are some of the nicest guys out there. You tell them you're new, it's your first event, and you're there to learn and pick up tips. You're gonna have more people helping you out than you ever have before. Trust me. And nobody's gonna be going for blood. I mean, it's warbird combat. It's not. I don't want to say not real combat, but it's not real combat. So it's more of a fun event. No one's going to be going for blood and, cutting your airplane in half or anything like that.
Gentleman's combat.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm not really too worried about that. The one thing I'm not sure of is like maneuver limits. Like I've read before of some of them, inverted maneuvers, and
it may be that if they're, if this is gentleman's combat, warbird combat, it could be in the rules that nobody flies inverted. You might be able to do a loop and a wing over inverted, and they may do that just because it's an entry level event and they want to keep the carnage down.
Yeah,
you get you know, you get somebody out there that hasn't flown a lot of combat and they go inverted in their first match, you're probably going to get in a line tangle. So they make. Are there rules published for this thing somewhere?
Yeah, I can tag you in 'em. Yeah, they got what's his name? Lester, I think his name is.
Yeah, I've read through all that, but I still haven't seen an actual rule. You know what I mean?
They got him. He didn't have it posted in the group. It's on a separate actual page, and he had linked it.
Okay.
I'll tag you in it.
Tag me in that so I can read it. Because because I don't know what you guys are doing. I mean, I know it's speed limit 75, 60-foot lines, 4-minute match, but there may be a rule on maneuvering. So, and if there is, that's even better because then you're just going to fly around flat and level and chase each other. You know, you try to close the distance by flying high. That's going to close the distance, and then you dive down and try to take a bite. But definitely not going inverted will keep the carnage way down, you know. And the biggest thing is just if you're standing on the right of your competitor and you're behind him, don't go underneath him. Because if you go underneath him, you've just gotten yourself into a line tangle. Does that make sense to you? Imagine you and I are standing right next to each other. I'm on your left, you're on my right. I'm in front of you flying, and you're behind me. And you dive down and come underneath me and then pull up. You've just got it.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you're on my right, and I'm in front of you flying, and you're behind me, and you dive down to take a bite, go over the top of me, and then our lines won't tangle.
Yeah, because I'm going across you.
You're going over me.
Yeah.
If you go under me, if you're going under me, and you pull up in front, we're in a line tangle. If you go to take a bite and then fly over the top of me, all you got to do is do a loop or pull a wing over, and you can get away.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the biggest things is don't go underneath your opponent if you're coming in for a bite and you're behind. Don't go under the guy if you're on his right side. If you're behind him. I know it sounds crazy, but when you're standing out there with someone, you'll see exactly. I mean, it'll be interesting not to fly under because you're going to be like, I don't want to go that way because I'll be screwing shit up if I do. It's instinct. You're going to go, I want to go over the top of it, you know.
Jeff Riley says that combat guys are nice until you get good. He said he was lucky enough to fly with Russ Carter and the Cash Boys.
Yeah, he's right about that. Combat guys are super nice till you get good. There's only so much they're going to dole out to you. Once they think you got it figured out, you're kind of on your own, man.
Yeah.
And then everybody really does have their own secrets and stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
Minnesota Mike says fly over the top and force your opponent down into the ground.
That's one way to do it. Yep. Or if you're allowed to fly inverted, go inverted and come at him head on, man, and make him choose his airplane or pulling up to avoid a midair. It's fun going crank to crank sometimes.
Say like I get the Super Tiger 35. What should the tube length be for that, ideally?
Well,
estimate.
Again, it's going to depend on which needle is in that Tiger 35.
Okay, well, it's gonna be this one. That's that little one. The one that's already on this 25. That one's gonna stay on there.
Yeah. Well, I know, but the Super Tiger 35 is.
I got you.
That's in it. So it'll be a suction needle that comes in the engine. If you're going to run that on a bladder, which you can, you're going to have to put a nozzle in it. I say nozzle because that's OS's term for it, but a spray bar, just like what's in LA 25. You're going to have a spray bar in that Tiger to run a remote needle.
Well,
you can make one. I don't know that there's one you can just obtain and throw in there to do that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if I happen to get the Super Tiger 35, 3.5 ounce Uniflow.
That it's probably going to take running. Yeah, 3.5. maybe four.
Because
I had,
yeah, I got a 3.5 Uniflow and I got a 4-ounce GRW Uniflow.
Either one of those.
All right.
I think if you're gonna run it on suction, 3.5 will probably get you 4 minutes. You know.
Cool. Now just to finish these damn planes.
Now, hey, you said Fred Vaughn had sent you some needles too with those bladders. What were
That
they?
was it. I thought it was more, but it was just that one.
Just that one. Okay. All right. That's the one. Yeah, that'll work. That'll work for sure.
So really, I should be on the lookout for these whenever I grab them.
The 10 is an older one, and like I said, it'll work. But what you really want is the one I showed you.
The 1A.
This is the 1A number 15 is what they call it.
Mm-hmm.
It's the 1A 15. And what this did, here, I'm going to leave you for 1 second so I can grab something.
Yeah, I want to know what that came stock on originally.
I'm going to show you, Rusty.
Okay. I might have a couple of those. I'm not sure.
Okay, so this is actually a 46 LA carburetor, but if you pretend that this is a FP40 carburetor, would screw in. Of course, this there's just a nozzle there. There's a barbed nipple.
You're freezing up, Mike.
I'm freezing up.
Yeah, off and on.
Okay, let me try it again. This needle would screw into. I don't know what's going on.
Hold on. I think.
Is that better? You got me now?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay. So this needle would screw into the side of a carburetor for like an FP40 on an RC plane. That's why it's threaded, and that's why it has that little nut on there. These are pull-offs from RC carburetors from OS engines.
Like these? Let's see.
If you've got some FP carburetor, hold on, back it up a little bit.
I got a few of them.
What engine is that off of?
I can't tell you. It was in a box of carburetors. I just pulled off the engines I got over the years.
Okay, so put that back up on the camera again. So yeah, you unscrew that little lock nut that's up against the side of the carburetor.
Mm-hmm.
And that whole thing will thread right out, and it should look like the OS 10 needle that you have there. But the number you're looking for the real good remote that we use, this one, is the OS 1A15, and these were on the FP40s. But the 10s work. The ones off the 10s work, and I believe these were on the FSR RC engines. The OS FSRs, the dual ball bearing 25s and 40s and stuff. So it's just a pull off the carburetor, but they make great remote needles. The only way to really know, Jamie, is to take that needle and
lock up.
Make sure you put the fuel line on it. And if it doesn't leak, make sure it's got enough adjustment when you open it and close it that you can get a good needle on it and make the engine happy. Because some of them have such a coarse thread and such a fat needle in them that one click is the difference between screaming lean or slobbery rich.
Mm-hmm.
That's the taper of the needle matters. And that's why a lot of us use this one, because it's a good needle and it's got enough taper on it that one click isn't like a massive change in fuel flow.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Check out these. I got 4 more. All right, here's one that's kind of similar to the one I just showed.
No.
Yep.
Well,
Yeah, this
doesn't
one.
look like anything I've seen. I mean, there's no way to know unless you try it.
Yeah, this one I know for sure won't work because look how long that thing is.
Wait a minute. Back that up a little bit. That's no axle. That is somebody just put an extension on it.
Mm-hmm.
They got a little piece of brass tubing over the end. Break that off. I mean, you can leave it or whatever, but that's an OS needle you got in your hand there. That one will work.
Yeah, like these next two are OS needles. It's like on the carb, it has one on the back and 2A in the front.
That's it. That's one right there. That'll work as a remote.
All right, here's another one. Same thing. One in the back, 2A in the front.
That one looks like a 10 to me, but it should probably work. Yeah, no, that one will work too. That one will work too.
And this last one, the carb says 2 on the back, 2A in the front.
Kind of hard to tell. That one looks a little different, but it's an OS carburetor from old school OS engines. I would say all of those look pretty good.
Cool.
Work as long as you put a little piece of fuel tubing on there. Bob's your uncle, man. I think you're in business. You got more needles. I mean, you really only need one or two to work to get you through the contest. So you got what's there.
Yeah.
A comment from Jeff Riley on YouTube back about the capacity of the tube. He says 4 inches, 4 ounces, runs 5 minutes at about 90 plus on an Allen plane.
On what size engine, though? 4 ounces, 5 is going to run like 7 minutes, man. It's going to be 7 or 8 minutes. Crazy long. I run my 40s on 4 ounces for 5 minutes.
Pretty wild. I used to just take them things off and throw them away. I'm glad I didn't.
Oh, dude. And I'll tell you what, Jamie, if you start flying combat, you're going to be digging through boxes at swap meets for pull-off carburetors just so you can have those needles.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. I go dumpster diving at swap meets looking for carburetors. Because Tower carried them up until it wasn't that long ago, a year, maybe 2 years ago. Tower carried the 1A15 needle for like $13, and they discontinued them, so they've become unobtainium. You can find them on eBay occasionally, but the best place to find them is clapped out engines or guys' junk boxes at swap meets. You go in there and, you know, they've got it just like you've got 4 carburetors right there. You see a guy with a box of carbs and is asking $2 for them. They have the right needle. You can buy them all just needle.
Yeah.
I bet I've got a couple of them in my junk box.
Yeah. When I go to my hobby shop tomorrow, I'm going to ask him because he's a control line guy, and his sons deal with the RC part. So, and they got loads and loads of all kind of shit.
Well, that's great to have a hobby shop guy that's control line knowledgeable.
Yeah.
Well, damn, Jamie, I'm glad you're getting the combat bug, man. That makes me excited. I wish you lived closer, man.
She said they were with Nick.
Hey, honey, how you doing?
Hi.
Are you bringing him a beer?
And they didn't leave it. They just like left that and left.
Okay. So it is the Deuce office?
Yeah. She said she's gonna let us know if they drop it in the morning. She's gonna let us know so you don't have to move.
Okay. Good. So I ain't gotta wake up early then. Cool.
But she said she'll let them know that way. Because I told her I know they close at like noon.
Yeah. What time do they usually pass over there?
Like 9 to o'clock.
Okay. That's good. Because I mean, if they don't drop it over there, I could swing by there before I go to Andy's in the morning. Okay.
So she said, we just go from Washington.
Ain't no telling.
Hey, Charles. What'd you say, Mike?
I said, there you are. I lost your video feed for a minute.
Yeah, it's kind of blinky winky tonight. I think it's just busy on Friday night bandwidth.
Okay.
Hey, Charles, you've been mighty quiet over there in the corner. What you doing, man?
Just cleaning my garage because I really want to build something, but I can't build my garage. It's such a mess. So I just been trying to get rid of stuff, cleaning things up, making room for a plane. But it's not
Yeah.
going to happen tonight. I mean, I can't get it done in one night. It's going to take.
Oh no. It's once you start, it snowballs on you, and you go places you never imagined once you start picking stuff up and looking at it.
Yeah, I think I've been sitting at my desk watching the show for several years now, and I need to probably just commit to just work in the garage and listen to the show and get this garage done.
I like it.
Charles, you came in late, man, but I wanted to tell you the electric stunt plane that took off across the shop last time. We flew it this week, and it's awesome, man. It flies
That's
great.
Good. I'm happy for you. That's the one with the pistol grip?
Yeah. Using the pistol grip. At full throttle, it's actually almost too fast. At 3/4 throttle, it was doing 5-second laps, and I put it through its paces. I flew everything with it. We tweaked it a little bit on the handle spacing and on the horn because it was way too sensitive at first. Right. But we got it dialed in. It's a good little backyard electric stunner, and it will capable of any maneuver.
Wow, that is fantastic. That's good.
I'm pretty happy with it.
All right, I got to get Mike. I'll be in touch.
What'd you say, Jamie?
Yeah, I got to run, but I'll be in touch with you. I'll let you know if I find a super target tomorrow.
Yeah, if there's anything I can help you with, I'll be happy to steer you in the right direction, man. And there's going to be plenty of guys there to help you out.
Oh, yeah. All right, Joe. Y'all take it easy.
All right. Take it easy, Jamie.
Later.
All right.
Have a good weekend. Oh, Jeff Riley.
Friday, is it?
What'd you say?
Friday, you're talking about Mike Lonky?
I'm sorry?
That contest is next Friday you guys are talking about?
Yeah, I think in Houston. It's next weekend. Yeah. They're doing Warbird Combat, I think.
Okay.
And Jamie's trying to get some stuff together so that he can go fly it.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. I actually, the other day when I saw the announcement for the contest, I said to my wife, because we're home all week, we're not going anywhere for the holidays. I said, what would you think about driving down to Houston for a couple days with the kids while we're on break? And she looked at me and she said, we're not going to a control line contest. No. I didn't even tell her it was a contest, but she knew it. She knew it right as soon as I said it. She's like, we're not going to a contest.
You probably saw how happy she was,
Yeah, well, believe me, if she just said yes, I'd have been in here building some Warbird shit to take there with me, man. I would have done it. I got cores here in the garage. I would have built a Mustang Warbird or some kind of combat contraption to take down there.
So, Mike, what kind of timer are you using on that electric plane?
I'm not using a timer. I'm actually using an ESC with a throttle.
That's right. I heard you mention using a transmitter. Okay.
Did you were you in last week for show and tell?
No, I couldn't make it last week. I did see one of your videos though, so I should have known better.
Okay, well hang on. We'll do another show and tell, man.
I was just curious because Charles, have you used any KR timers, KR governors?
I haven't flown electric yet.
Okay.
I'm still flying glow. I have so much invested in glow, I just can't justify spending $500-600 to get started in electric yet.
Gotcha.
But one day I'll have to when they be competitive in stunt. I think it's just inevitable.
I'd like to have just one sport flyer that's electric.
Yeah.
Okay, so Dwayne, we got the RC car transmitter, and then the electric setup. This is actually the Brodak electric setup for their half-egg Gladiator. I think you can look at the Brodak site. They sell all this together for their half-egg combat plane. It's a 1200 kV motor, a 30 amp ESC, and then it comes from Brodak with a timer that's set for 3 minutes. That's how they run it on their electric Gladiator. So Yes, I could plug a timer into it and push a button and have a 3-minute run. But what I did instead is I put the RC car receiver on the bottom of the airplane and plug that to the battery and everything else. And now Sam's got a throttle.
Right.
So I can run it either way. I could push the button on the timer and go. But I think, like I said, after the initial flights, if I ran it on the timer, I would definitely have to do some changes with the prop because it's way too fast at full throttle with the prop running.
Okay.
Running at 3/4 throttle was plenty of speed. So, I could plug the timer in, run it on a timer. I just have to prop it down a little bit to get the lap times down.
Right.
So, it was pretty zippy, man. It was pretty zippy, and it balances great. It literally no trimming was necessary when we flew it. It flew great.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm sorry, I was calling Dwayne. There's a guy on the board called Dwayne Donnelly. Did you know that?
No,
Yeah.
I didn't.
Are you brothers?
Actually, I can't hear you very well. You're breaking up, though, Mike.
Yes, if you're brothers with Dwayne Donnelly.
No, brother. By the name of Wayne, anyway.
Oh, no. I got a message from YouTube. Lisa Miller just posted, "Good evening. Just wanted to let you guys know that my dad, Ron Hess, died Thanksgiving weekend. I know he enjoyed watching and chatting with you all very much." Oh, that's awful. I'm sorry. Lisa, thanks for giving us a heads up on it. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Now, Ron Hass, wasn't he in Florida?
Ron Hass.
Was he in
Ron,
Florida?
I remember seeing his name in the chat box all the time.
Yeah, he was always in the chat box. He had been in here on video a couple of times, but I think he either had bandwidth problems or just preferred to do it from the chat box. But I'm so sorry.
Yes.
For your loss. Was he an active modeler in a club somewhere, or do we know?
I don't know if he was in a club or not. I think he was a sport. I think he was mostly a sport flyer that had been a dabbler and a builder for years.
Okay.
But he was always here listening to us. Sometimes he participated in the chat, and sometimes he just watched and listened.
Wow.
But anyway, thanks, Lisa. We appreciate you letting us know about that.
Yeah. Too bad.
Man.
Yeah, I remember Ron. I think he was from Florida. I think.
Yeah, I think so. I get him and Bob Bishop's location mixed up. But yeah, Ron had been with us for a long time, as you know, dating back to the beginning of the show.
Wow.
Thank you. Lisa says, "Thank you all very much." Yeah, Triple Creek RC Club in Florida.
Okay.
Might have to look them up and see if they got any news we can read and post my condolences, maybe.
So, Frank, what was your interest in my electric model, other than what?
Well, the only reason I was asking is I was wondering if anybody had any experience with the KR Governor. I had one a few years ago, and I was very successful with it. And I sold it, and then I just picked up a new one, and it doesn't quite operate the way I remember it or the way the instructions are saying. For instance, if I set the delay for, say, 20 seconds before the motor comes on, what used to happen is when you first armed it, when you first moved the slider switch, it would turn a few revolutions and then stop. And then 20 minutes later, or I keep saying 20 minutes, 20 seconds later, then the motor would start to spool up, and it would spool up slowly at first and then come up to the governed value. Mine now does not there is no, it doesn't spin up a few turns during the delay, and it goes to full speed when it does turn on, and like instantaneous full speed for a few seconds, and then it comes back down to normal. So I just didn't think that was right, and I called the guys out at RSM, and they didn't have really much to tell me. I talked to Mike out there. I think if I got a hold of Eric, he might know better.
Eric,
But
probably. I don't have any information for you because the only electric setup I've ever on your got. I had a few Brodak glass prototypes.
okay.
That was my very first electric setup at all, was the Brodak Gladiator prototype. Well, Sam crashed airplanes and it was air. So I just took the power plant off of that and built this airplane around it.
Gotcha.
I can tell you with the timer that's on, when you hit it, all it does is the beep, but there is no prop rotation. It just goes beep, beep, beep. Got 15 seconds until it comes on. And it is gradual. It starts slow, and then it goes to full throttle.
Yeah. That's the way the Hubbin timer is. It's gradual. It doesn't come on full throttle. So I think there's something wrong there. Maybe it needs to be reflashed or something. I'll give those guys another call back and see if I can get a hold of Eric. Eric Wool.
It sounds wrong because most electric I've seen are like that. They move gradually. They don't just go WFO. Right. You know?
Right.
So,
hey, T-Bone Tom Luciano just posted on YouTube. He says FM9 works like your first KR.
Oh, there you go.
So what does it say that again, Rusty?
Tom says the FM9 works like your first KR.
Another type of timer, FM9.
Right. So from what I gather from him saying that, then is that the FM9 actually doesn't go to full power at first. It spools up gradually. Yeah.
We see you there, Steve. We just don't want to let you in, man. Don't turn his mic on, Rusty.
I'm not paying attention. Thanks for the heads up. There we go. Nah, I can't hold him off. Good evening, Stephen.
So what type of electric planes are you flying, Frank?
Well, right now the only electric plane I have is a Super Clown, but I'm working on a Cavalier.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I've seen quite a few of those at contests, man. They fly real nice, man.
Yeah.
So someone's trying to use one of the them Horizon timers?
No, Steve. Here's what maybe you have some experience with this is. I have a KR timer, KR Governor, right? And
okay.
I had one before, and the one I have now doesn't seem to operate the same way. What this one is doing is when I set the delay, let's say I set the delay for 20 seconds, and then I hit the switch to arm it. From what I recall, it would spin for maybe a second or two very slowly and then stop. And then after the delay, it would gradually spool up to its governed speed. So the one I have now, I get no blip at all when I hit the switch. And when the delay is over, it goes to full power right away. And then gradually comes back down to the governed speed.
That's a good way.
It doesn't seem right to me.
The startup is in the ESC.
Well, I've got the ESC. The ESC is a ZTW Mantis that RSM sells with timer. And it's all set up according to, well, the way they had it set up, right, for control line.
Okay. Yeah, it should be that you can go in there and hit soft or medium or hard.
Yeah, I got the programming box.
About the Cuban. I think that's what Wayne uses, and his all spool up slowly.
I do have, well, there is a governor mode that you can set for a soft startup, but you need to have the governor mode turned off in the speed controller because the KR timer controls the governing. So from what I read, it's the governor that actually controls the spool up. So I would think that maybe something's not, maybe it needs to be reflashed or something. I guess I should call them back. See what they can tell me.
It seems like we have the governor mode on, but
With the KR?
yeah, but maybe not. But most all of them have the governor mode.
Yeah, well, I know the FM timer. You have to have a speed controller that has a governor and can control the RPM.
And back in my office machine days, I had an EEPROM flasher that would take 10 chips at a time. I could do some serious flashing.
Well, was that your background, Rusty? Were you in electronics?
Yes.
Yeah.
DeVry, you familiar with DeVry University?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm a DeVry graduate.
Okay.
Yeah, you probably should call Eric. You have the wire hooked up?
Yes.
That little wire?
Yeah, I called today and I got a hold of Mike, and Mike doesn't know as much as Eric, I don't think. Eric wasn't available. So my problem is I can only call those guys during the day when I'm at work, and I can't actually monkey around with this stuff while I'm talking to them.
He'll be there tomorrow. If you call in the morning, that's when I always talk to Eric, is Saturday mornings.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, then I can give him a shout tomorrow.
Yeah, he seems to be a lot busier during the week. I'm not all sure what he does, but.
Okay. Yeah, all right. I'll try him tomorrow and see what he says.
That airplane of yours, Mike's really flies good.
The electric?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were just talking about that. That's what got us talking to Frank about electric setup.
Oh, no, he's gone.
Yeah, Mike's breaking out again. Audio. The audio is breaking up, yeah.
What kind of lap times were you running on that?
Well, at full throttle, it was running about 4 seconds on 52-foot lines. And then when I slowed it down to about 3/4 throttle, it was running 5 seconds.
Oh, okay.
So I can probably going to go down a size in pitch on a prop, and then I can just run it full throttle, and it'll probably be right on. I need to play with props on it, but for a backyard flyer, you know, a plane of that size on 52s, it flies pretty good, man. You know.
Well, look at the direction and see if there's an endpoint adjustment. And if you dial the full throttle endpoint adjustment back, you may be able to just dial it that way back so full throttle will hit the right RPM.
Yeah, there is. There's an endpoint adjustment on the transmitter. I didn't think of that. I was just thinking, you know, for Sam, he's going to want to freeze that trigger and fly it balls up, you know. So that's what I need to do is just point back so that, you know, when he's got the trigger hammered, he's not really giving it everything that's there.
Yeah.
That's probably the way to do it. It's all a learning curve to me, man. It's the first electric setup and absolutely the first plane we've ever had with a throttle on it too. So.
Hey, I'm glad to see you're diversifying. Like, yeah, you know, Jamie's getting interested in combat and lots of different things in the control world.
Well, I'm not going electric, man. This whole deal was because we had a crashed electric setup. Build a plane, and since it is electric, we can fly to the backyard without pissing the neighbors off.
Yeah.
The other thing is I can just turn sand and he doesn't need me to help him. He can go out there and fly unsupervised anytime he wants, you know.
Yeah.
I watched, I think it was a lady next door to you watching y'all off for back porch one day. Oh, it was over the fence, I think, but I don't remember.
Yeah,
he was on porch
we
or
were
whatever.
flying
But
half-A combat.
yeah, that's right. Are your neighbors pretty good about y'all making a racket out there?
Yeah, it's fine. It really is. I mean, we fly 049s and 061s in the backyard all the time. They don't seem to mind. Every once in a while, we'll bust a junior ringmaster out, which has a OS 15 on it,
Yeah.
but it's got a muffler on it, so it's pretty quiet. I try not to annoy them too hard, and I thought the electric thing would just be perfect for Sam because he could fly every day if he wanted, if the weather's cooperating.
I was lucky to have that church that was so cooperative across the street, but I got to go over if I want to fly there now and meet the new pastors, and everybody's changed now. So.
Yeah, you should let Phil Cartier know. He might even start cutting more wings like that. And I mean, that system that Dennis has made up at Brodak looks like that'd be perfect.
It's a good setup. Well, and I lucked out with those cores too. Those aren't standard cores for Phil. His typical super hacker core is, I believe, 36 inches. So the panels are 18 inches each. I happen to get one set from him where he didn't cut they were made out of the same block that he cuts full-size combat wings out of. So the set of cores that on this airplane, the wingspan on this plane is 48 inches. Now, because Phil cut an extra long block, that was like one of them. And he's like, oh, you cut them down for half-A combat.
But yeah, if you send him a video on that and he sees how good that flies with that setup, he might start cutting cores a little bit long.
He can make them for sure. And I thought about cutting those down, and I thought I'm just going to wait and see how it flies with them at 48 because I was going to cut them down to 36. And I'm glad I didn't because it needs the wing area. The extra wing area is good, and it's negligible weight,
Well, if it's doing a 4-second lap time, how fast is that? That's kicking pretty good for a half-A combat ship, isn't it?
Well, it's not half-A combat. It's really more of a 15 size plane. I think if you equated it to glow, it would be a 15 sized airplane. That's why I'm flying it on 52s.
Oh, okay.
I think it would probably fly on 60s okay at full throttle, just the way it's set up now with this prop. It would fly on 60s, no problem. But we're limited. 52 is all we can get away with in the backyard. So, I mean, really, if anybody wanted to build this, you could. It kind of came out of my mind, man. I looked at it and I said, okay, the fuselage probably needs to be this long. I made the elevator, looks about right for the size of the wing. The rudder doesn't really matter,
I was just thinking have a couple of them at Brodak just so if there's any kids there again this year that want to fly.
I don't think it's going to be as robust, though, as the Ring Rat. I would not call this like an electric trainer because I think if you nose this thing in or auger it in at full throttle, it's probably going to snap the nose right off. Because I wanted it to be light, so I didn't really make the nose real beefy. I mean, it's a balsa fuse and it's skinned with plywood. But still, there's no real reinforcement or anything in the nose area or the crutch or anything like that. If you hit the ground hard with the prop spinning, the nose is going to snap right off.
Yeah.
So whereas the Ring Rat electric trainer,
it'll take a lick.
Yeah,
it'll take a lick pretty good.
Beat those things in the ground. So as an electric trainer, I don't know. Maybe if you beef the nose up a little bit, make it more robust, it would be better. But I didn't need to do that with Sam because he's not. Well, I shouldn't say he's not crashing, but he shouldn't be crashing this. He's beyond. He should be able to fly this plane without wrecking it.
Hey, Mike, is your wife an accountant?
She's a CPA. She's a tax director at an accounting firm. Yes.
Ask her the next time we get on. because that's what Samantha's going to school for. People
Mhm.
are saying there's not a lot of jobs out there for CPAs and all that kind of stuff.
Oh shit, man.
That's what I thought. That's what I told her too.
So there's two ways you can go in that field. You can go into public accounting, and you can go into
You broke up.
I know we're not talking about control line stuff here, so I'll try to make it brief. But if you go into private accounting with a CPA license, you're working for a firm. So like you're working for Ford or Nissan or
Yeah.
Kmart or Amazon or Target. You're working for a company, taking care of their books and doing their tax stuff. If you're in public accounting, you're a firm that's for hire that does everybody's stuff. So you work for a firm and you're kind of like a contractor and you go in and do the work for people. My wife specializes in banks. Her clients are financial institutions. That's who she does accounting for. She doesn't do accounting for Joe Blow Cake Shop down the road or Gigi's Cupcakes or for the Burger King franchise owner. She's in financial institutions, which is banks. She's in a specialized part. You can make a lot more money in public accounting if you work for a firm. You can make way more money.
Samantha wants to do forensic accounting.
Oh yeah, my wife, she talked about that like 10 years ago. She thought about branching off and looking at that, where they go back and they're looking at criminals' records and shit and trying to find out where the money went.
That's what she's trying.
That sounds interesting. My wife is a accountant with the state of South Carolina Department of Commerce.
Oh, okay.
She's not a CPA.
Steve, accounting is a good job, man. I'm telling you, but she's got to get a CPA license because there's accountants. Some of them work in audit. You don't have to have a CPA license to work in audit. You can be an accountant and not have a license.
Right.
It just depends on what part of the area you're going into.
Oh, okay.
Cool. But she'll make more money if she gets working for a firm. She sits for the CPA exam and passes it, and she's a licensed, certified public accountant. And then from there, she can either go into private accounting and work for a company, or in public accounting where they take in all kinds of business and do stuff.
Yeah, I told her that I didn't think she'd have a problem.
Yeah, there's more money in public accounting than there is in the private sector. I'll tell you that right now.
Okay. Cool.
We got a lot of background chatter going on. I wonder if YouTube co-channels like radio used to. Sometimes I wonder if we're picking up other people's feeds that are getting mixed in somewhere.
I don't know, but when Sparky was talking, he was cutting in and out on me like crazy. I couldn't hear anything Sparky was saying.
Yeah. Oh, really? It was not that bad where I am. But I always hear chatter and echo in the background when Sparky signed in.
Yeah, who knows? So did you get a flight on your 61 or 65 or
Not
whichever
yet.
one?
No, we talked about that a little bit earlier. I've got everything here. I'm ready to go. I know what length to trim my pipe and all that. Because I talked to Randy the other day. I went out this morning to the speed shop and I bought 3 gallons of methanol so that I can mix up fuel for it.
Okay.
So I'm real close. I'm gonna mix up some fuel and then I'll put the pipe in and put the wheels on and I'm ready to go. But it looks like the weather is going to be shit here for the next 10 days anyway. So
yeah, it
doesn't really matter.
That's what I was kind of seeing on the weather. That hey, there's Charles.
Hey, Charles, I figured you were walking right around there somewhere. I was thinking about hollering for you and see if you could hear me.
Yeah, I'm just trying to clean this garage. So I had a general question. I have a twin Pathfinder. and it has two LA25s on it. Can't get them both to run well. And someone said maybe I should try a regulator, a fuel regulator, but I've never seen a fuel regulator. I was wondering if anybody has any experience with using those.
Man, we sat around the table in Huntersville one night, and a huge discussion broke out about fuel regulators. But I
You mean
don't.
like a Perry pump or something?
I don't even know how the setup works. I was just thinking maybe if I could get a consistent fuel,
I think it's all.
they would run the same.
I think it's all basically fed out of one common tank, and then splits off two lines. And you can, I guess, I don't know if you can program or how it works. There's all kinds of different ones, but
Who makes the fuel?
send the same amount of two engines.
Who makes a fuel regulator anymore?
I couldn't tell you that.
Isn't it Perry? Isn't it a Perry pump? Is what they call it?
Yeah, Perry pumps. I guess that would be a fuel regulator.
That's short for a peristaltic pump.
No, Perry is a guy. Is his last name?
I know they run them on all the 3D aerobatic planes, man. All the guys running 3D gassers and nitro engines got Perry carburetors on them. And I'm not real keyed in on them, but I'm pretty sure they run off of crankcase pressure, don't they, Steve?
Yeah. If you had a bigger one, I always take and silicone it in the back of the back plate, because these things are pretty good size, they are. And try to find a place to put them.
I don't think they'd fit on an LA25.
No, I don't think the back plate would be big enough for that.
Okay. That'll take a lot of weight too, it sounds like.
Yeah. If you want to run two at the same time and have them both run good, put them on bladders.
Okay.
Yeah,
two bladder or two
there's no reason, if the tubes are exactly the same length or even not. A bladder should keep both engines with the exact same fuel feed. Now, what the engine does with it's up to the operator, but you gotta get them synchronized.
No, that's not necessarily true, Rusty. If you were trying to run two engines off of one bladder, so you got one started and it's going, but then you unpinch the fuel line for the second engine. Now you've changed the pressure on the first.
You got to go back and forth until you get it right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would run two bladders.
Two bladders.
Make sure the outboard quits first.
Yeah.
I hope that it does.
Yeah. Okay. That sounds doable.
No, you want the inboard to quit first.
No, you want the outboard. You want the outboard to quit first, Steve.
Yeah, that would hang it out, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that way you would stay away from it.
Yeah.
The outboard's running, the inboard's off. The plane might come in on me.
Yeah, I got one of them Pathfinders also, but I'm going to make it electric.
Yeah, that's probably the best.
That's what I was going to tell Charles. If you really want them both to run right, Charles, go electric.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If Bob Hunt was in here, he'd be chiming in. Yeah, you should go electric, Charles.
What's the issue you're having with it, Charles? You can't get them both to run at a constant rate?
Yeah, when matter of fact, you start off okay, and then it seems like later on, I think it's the outboard engine usually starts to falter, and it's running rich after a while, and then it gets hot and it shuts off. So maybe it's not getting rich, maybe it's just lean sack. I don't know what it is, but it's so difficult to get them, and it's so frustrating because when they're both running, I mean, I don't know if any of you have flown twins before, but there's nothing like a twin because that prop blast, because from tip to tip, it's about 21 inches of prop blast. And, you can't, I mean, even if I had a 50 on there, that wouldn't be nearly as powerful as the 225s because of that prop sweep, right?
Right.
That prop blast going over the wing, the plane it flies so nice, but it doesn't, I can't seem to get it consistent. And I can't, so it's just, it teases me, and I feel how nice it could be, but it never materializes for full flight.
Yeah, it sounds like it's going lean if it's quitting. If it gets getting hot.
Yeah, if it's getting hot.
Yeah.
I think, and the problem is you're in front of the circle, and it's hard to tell unless I have someone outside to tell me which one quit. It's really hard to tell which engine quit.
Are the engines enclosed in a cowl, or are they just open?
They're open. They're just like a profile mount. It's just a two profile nacelles, and there's a single profile fuselage down the center, which completes the kind of the appearance of it. But the
are both motors broke in good?
That's a good question. I've tried so many different combinations. I mean, and the reason why I came into the plane was the previous owner's sheer frustration after he tried number of different engines, never could get it to work right. And he said, Charles, if you want it, you can have it minus the engines. And I said, yeah, that'd be cool. I thought I could fix it. And I stuck it out for, 6-7 months trying to get it to work right.
So he had the same problem you were having.
Yeah, exactly.
What I do is I would swap the engines and see if you still have the same problem. See if the outside one's quitting.
That's what Bob Zambelli did the day he destroyed his Jezebel on the pavement at Huntersville. He swapped engines, but the problem stayed on the inboard side.
So
separate fuel tanks too? Two different fuel tanks?
Yeah.
First, either you could flop fuel tanks and see that way, or you flop the engines. And if the problem moves, then it's the engine problem. If the problem doesn't move, it's the tanks.
Yeah. Try swapping glue plugs before you swap engines.
I think he probably has swapped engines, but I don't know if he's swapped fuel tanks. I don't remember myself swapping fuel tanks, and maybe that might be a remedy to isolate the problem.
See where the problem that follows the tank.
That's a great idea.
The tank might not even be aligned the same way, lined up with the Venturi like it is on the other side.
Oh yeah, I made an. I haven't touched this plane in over a year, but I put a plane in a jig, and I measured the tank height one against the other, and I lined them up, with a jig, and had the wing level and all that kind of stuff, and I tried that.
Well, you don't have anything to lose by swapping things around.
Yeah, good idea. Good idea.
When did you say it, Charles? When did you say it cuts off?
It's definitely probably after the square eights, I think. Something like. And my memory is.
What does it do before? Does it lean out? And I'm sorry, I zoned out on this part when you were telling us the original story. But does it lean out first and then quit, or does it just burp and quit?
Well, yeah, I'm trying to remember, but I think they both are running fine, and then it seems like one begins to falter, and it's kind of hard to tell from the center of the circle what faltering is if it's actually too late or obviously the outboard motor is going a further distance.
If you've got one of those little laser thermometers like I do, run out to it as soon as you can and get temperatures on on the bypass bulges and on the heads.
Okay, that's a good idea. Yeah, that's a good idea. I like both those ideas. Thanks.
I don't know now what it means. I'm not gonna even pursue, but it'd be nice to know if there was a big difference in temperature, and then that's a clue to set you off on some kind of hunt.
Yeah, that's true.
It seems like you'd be able to see if one of the propellers had stopped spinning.
Yeah, no, it sounds like you should be able to, but remember, when you're looking at the plane, that prop is spinning, but it's almost like a straight line.
Yeah.
And if it's not spinning, you're still seeing that line. You follow me?
Right.
Unless you get it a little bit out of an angle, then you can maybe see which one's spinning, you know, that kind of thing. But anyways, I don't think I've tried swapping the tanks. I've swapped both tanks, but I never swapped the way you guys suggested tonight. So, oh, what do you got there?
I was gonna show you my twin, man. You're talking about twins.
Yeah.
There's my
Oh,
black mosquito.
Oh yeah, I remember
Cool.
you were showing this when somebody on Cox was building one.
Twin engine 061s.
Norvell, man, that's a badass plane.
Yeah.
I've seen you fly that one.
It flies like a bat out of hell, man. We fly it on like 52-foot lines. But I mean, when you think about it, it's comparable to a 15, you know.
Yeah.
2061s.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, it hauls the mail, man.
Is that the video where you were out there smoking a cigarette and flying it? There might be more than one of those.
Yeah, there's probably a few of those, Rusty.
How many? How big of props are on them?
They're top flight 6.4s, I think.
So that's like flying a 40 on that thing.
Well, I was thinking engine displacement would be about a.
Yeah, but if you think of prop diameter,
yeah,
that would make a 12-4 prop.
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. That props would
really.
I was going to ask you if you tried smaller props, like a 5.5.
These tanks, I think, are 1.5 ounces. It'll fly on one engine. Doesn't matter which one, because I got quite a bit of offset in the motors and quite a bit in the prop. So it doesn't matter on this one whether inboard or outboard quits. It'll still stay out there. If the inboard quits and it's flying on the outboard, you do have to be careful. You got to fly level with it. You can't maneuver and take it high, or it will turn in. But as long as you keep it low to the ground, and I'm talking 4 feet off the ground, it'll stay out on the lines. But if you take it up to 15 or 20 feet, it's going to turn right in on you. But it doesn't stunt anyway. I mean, it just flies flat and level. It'll barely do a loop. I mean, when I say a loop, I mean really just basically a big wing over in front of you.
Yeah.
It won't fly inverted, but it will stay out on the lines on one engine if you keep it low.
Yeah.
Do both motors run the same?
They do. Yeah, I tweak them both, man, till they're in pitch, and you know they sing, man. When they get synced up together and the harmonics are going, it sounds really cool, man. It sounds really cool.
It does sound cool.
Those Norvells hardly ever really need adjusting unless there's a huge weather change too. That's one thing I like about the big MiGs.
Well, I've got a Sterling P38 built. I got to cover it, and it's going to get, that was made for Fox 15s, but everybody said if you put a pair of 15s on it, it's just going to be so nose heavy it'll dive in the dirt right when the engine quits. So then I was going to do Cox 09s. I had a pair of 09s, and I found out one of them was just not up to snuff. So I got rid of those, and I got a deal on some Norvell 074s. So my Sterling P38 is going to get a pair of Norvell 074s. Rusty, I bought them things. There was a link on Cox Engine forums. Somebody on eBay had those 074s for $39 a piece.
Oh, holy shit.
3 years ago. He had 10 of them in stock for $39 a piece.
Oh, man. That's one I would have picked up if I'd seen it.
$80. I got 2 brand new Norvell 074s, and I think that's going to be perfect on the Sterling P38.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that's on the list to finish this winter.
Yeah, that 074 is a nice looking engine. I've never seen one in real life though.
What do you got, Steve?
It's
I gotta walk to the refrigerator for a minute. I'll be right back.
I forgot I had this till last week.
Hey, check out my Christmas present. Holly gave me a brand new Lazy Boy executive chair. Yeah, love it.
Nice.
It fits my contour of my back and everything perfect. My bony ass sits in it just comfortable as hell.
Nice.
Yeah, this is a build-up, a full fuse P38 control line, and it's made by KYO, made in Japan.
Oh yeah, yeah. Why does it say Lost Skied on the plans? Did you catch that?
Yeah. Oh no shit! I didn't even notice that.
It says LOSKED, Lost Skied. Pull those up again. Show them. Lost Skied. I guess that's how the Japanese pronounced it, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a KYO kit. That's one of the good ones, man. From back, those KYO kits go for crazy money on eBay, man. Have you seen some of the prices on those KYO kits?
No.
I'm trying to think of what I saw recently on eBay. Man, there was a B-17. There was like a B-25. They were produced after World War II in the 50s by that Japanese company KYO. I saw prices like $700-800 for some of those kits. Man.
Holy shit, that was going on eBay then.
For some of the bigger 4-engine control line models, because they have they got aluminum spun cowls in them and all kinds of really
that is it. The wheels come with it.
Yeah. Yeah, you got a KYO kit there. That P38, Steve, I wouldn't be surprised if that thing's worth $500, man.
Oh wow, beautiful.
Yeah, there was somebody posted one on Stunthangar about a year ago, and it was a 4-engine plane. I don't remember which one. It might have been because they did the Lancaster bomber. They did the Lancaster bomber, and I think that might have been the one that was on Stunthangar posted in the classifieds, and he was asking like $800 for the kit. And he went there for a little while, and then he said it was going to go to eBay. But yeah, the KYO kits, I think they made a B-36. They made a 6-engine B-36, which that one I've seen go for like $1,000, man.
Wow.
Yeah, this one's 40 1/4 inches.
Do you have the box? Do you have the box?
Yeah.
So it's got a blue label on the box, probably, right? It says KYO. Yep, blue label KYO. Dude, those are expensive kits, Steve. Those are crazy money on eBay, man. I'm telling you. Crazy. I would do a search on eBay and see what the last P38 Lost Skied sold for. I think you're going to shit when you find out how much that thing is worth, man.
I was going to start putting it together, but I'm glad I showed you.
The KYOs come up
ain't
on
no way in
eBay.
hell. If that thing was worth $200, I ain't going to crash a $200 kit.
It's worth $200. Trust me. I don't think you'd have any problem. If you put a buy it now price of $400, you'd get it. Those KYO kits are very, very collectible, and they always sell for crazy money on eBay. I'm telling you, because I'm on eBay all the time, man.
I have no idea where I got this thing from.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll give you $100 for it because you probably got it for nothing.
And then you're gonna flip it, put on eBay, right?
No, I'd build it. it. And it's probably got full fuselage on both of the empennage, right? And,
yeah, exactly.
It's built, with the old formers. It's got the fuselage formers and stringers and all that, right?
Yeah, it's got the 2 pods and then the fuselage. Then there's a spar that goes through that, and then you build the ribs up on the double spar that pokes out of it.
Yeah, it's not a profile model. It's not a profile. It's a full fuse. Yeah, dude, you're sitting on some money there, Steve. You can thank me for telling you.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Yeah, I got them 2 real old kits, and I don't know. I may have won that when I flew beginner.
Okay.
Nats.
As soon as you said,
super kind.
as soon as you said KYO, I knew the box had a blue label on it, man, because all the KYO kits got blue labels, and they were in the 50s and 60s. It's a Japanese company, and they command a lot of money. They command a lot of money.
Wayne's got an ancient super Connie kit. That thing is huge, RC. But man, that thing's fascinating. It's got spun aluminum cowls and just everything top notch on it too.
Did you say Super Connie?
What'd you say?
She said Super Constellation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of flying in the Connie constellation, and I got to take off and fly to 10,000 feet. I jumped out of it. I never got to land in it, but I skydived out of a Super Connie.
Oh, holy shit.
At the World Freefall Convention in 1997. Yep. It was $60 to make a jump out of it.
How many engines does a Super Connie have? Is a 4-engine, isn't it?
4-engine radial.
Yeah.
This one was fully restored to actual airline condition, the way it was flown in the in the late 50s, early 60s, I guess, right?
That sounds about right.
Yeah, so there's one in the U.S., the Sava County Foundation, the SAC Foundation. It's a red and white one. They bring it around to air shows and shit, and they take. Was
that an English airplane?
What's that?
Was that an English airplane?
No, the Constellation was American airplane.
Yeah, the Howard Hughes airplane.
Yeah, it was a Howard Hughes plane, and the Navy used it for electronic warfare and shit like that. But it has 4 radials, and it's got a twin tail on it, twin rudders.
Yeah, sure does. It's a gorgeous plane.
It is big.
It's very slow and it's lumbering. But they try to make money. They try to raise money to keep the airplane flying, the Sava County Foundation. So they give passenger rides and stuff. Well, they brought it to the World Freefall Convention in Quincy, Illinois back in 1997. And you could pay $59 to buy a jump ticket out of it. And they would I think they put 50 of us at a time on it. They brought the airplane in for one day, and they flew like 10 loads. So, 50 people at $60 a pop, they're making $3,000 a load. And it had a full pilot, co-pilot, and even a navigator, the crew of the airplane. And they took you off and took you up to 10,000 feet. And then you got to jump out of the plane, which was interesting because it has doors on both sides of the airplane.
Yeah.
There's a door on the right side and a door on the left side at the ass end of the plane, so you could pick which door you got to go out of, which was kind of neat. But
does it have a ramp straight out the back too?
No ramp out the back. There's a door on the right and a door on the left, just right in front of the elevator.
To me, it would always, it's like when I was there in Ohio and they had that, I forget, it was an American airplane that they used for the skydivers or whatever, paratroopers. How in the hell that door is too close to the tail? How in the hell you go with the plane flying that fast? It seems like when you jumped out, that tail would hit you.
Well, it happens sometimes, but it's a pretty rare occurrence, But the cool thing about the Connie, well, I should say the unsettling thing about the Connie is, back then I was skydiving a lot. I was an instructor, and I lived on a drop zone. I mean, I was making 40 jumps a week. I was making, 400 or 500 jumps a year on a drop zone.
Wow.
But we always liked to jump out of unique aircraft and different planes. So we were used to jumping out of turbine aircraft where we get to 15,000 feet in like 9 minutes, 10 minutes. They're rockets. So we all get on this Super Constellation with 4 big radials, spitting fire and lumbering and just loud. And we've been in the air for like 10 minutes, and I look at my altimeter, and we're at like 1,100 feet. Man, that's how
1,100.
That's how slow the climb was. It was literally almost a 40-minute ride to get up to 10,000 feet. and we're used to getting there in like 10 minutes. So it was a little nerve-wracking because when you're a skydiver on a jump plane, you want to get to 2,000 feet pretty quick, because if the airplane takes a shit, you can get out at $2,000. You know what I mean? Once you get to $2,000, you're comfortable. You feel comfortable, because if the engine craps, the pilot's going to open the door and say, "Get out of my airplane" at $2,000, and everyone can bail out safely. You know, so we're flying around for like 10 minutes, and I look down. I'm like, man, we're not near anywhere. We were just over $1,000, and it's just a big lumbering hulk, and it's loud as hell. Those 4 radials, I don't know how people flew, because this was a fully restored Connie, man. So this was restored to the way it was as an airline passenger plane in the 50s, and it was so loud in there. It was just, blah, 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 blah. It's just so loud.
Yeah.
But it was neat, because once we got off the ground, we were able to take our seatbelts off and walk around the cabin, walk up and down the aisles, and actually go up. The pilots were like, after we get off the ground and we're at a safe altitude, you guys can come up and check out the cockpit. So we got to go up to the flight deck and just kind of stand there and watch these 3 guys fly this massive airplane,
That's too cool.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
Let me ask you this. How high do you have to be to jump Halo style?
Well, Halo is high altitude, low opening. So.
I'm sorry. I was thinking of low altitude instant pull. What's that? Is that even called anything?
You mean base jumping off of objects?
It would be like that, yeah.
Well, I mean, it depends how big your balls are, man.
Well, if the plane's crashing and you got to get out.
Okay, if the plane's crashing, you got to get out. I mean, if you can get out of the airplane and open a parachute by 500 feet, you're going to live. Because that's typically the amount of time. A parachute takes between 400 and 600 feet to open. So give or take. If you can get out and pull by 500, you're probably going to live.
Yeah.
But as far as like the lowest you can jump with a parachute, I've done fixed object jumping. I've jumped buildings, bridges, and antennas, base jumping. And I jumped off a 420-foot building in downtown Detroit. And I opened at 200 feet, and then I had about a 5-second canopy ride, and I landed in the middle of Grand River Avenue. So 400. But the record for the lowest base jump, there was a guy that jumped from a 97-foot platform and opened a parachute and lived.
Holy shit.
It was literally the canopy opened and his feet hit the ground and he hit hard. I mean, that's just stupid. That's just stupid stuff.
When we were a kid, a friend of mine, his brother, sent him some kind of a parachute from Vietnam. And it had a big ring on it like that, and with these big ropes. And I guess what they used it for was to like pull crap out of an airplane or whatever it was. So we had this great idea that if we climbed up the electrical towers behind our house, that we could hang onto that ring and float down.
Yeah, that's not going to work out for you.
So one guy went up really high on the tower, way at the top just about, and held the top of that parachute. And the other guy hanging down grabbed that ring. So we figured that being all stretched out, it would open up quicker and he could float farther. Well, he jumped and that thing came down about 40 feet before it went boom. And when it did that, it jerked that ring out of his hand.
Oh, no.
And he said, "Whop," and landed on his side on the ground.
Yeah.
Luckily, it was all sand where they built these things, and there was no grass, nothing. It was just sand. And there was like a imprint of half of his body in the sand.
Yeah, you cannot hold on to a parachute through opening shock just by holding on to it. That's why we wear a harness that goes around your legs and over your shoulders and across your chest, because you cannot physically hold on to a parachute with your hands through line stretch and opening shock. He's lucky he didn't get killed.
11 and 12-year-olds, we didn't quite understand that.
Yeah. I've got 2 round parachutes here in my garage. Some they're Army T10s is what they're called, and they're still using them today. But when we would get bored on the drop zone, if it was too windy to skydive, like we couldn't jump out of a plane and land safely under our square Ram Air parachutes, we would get this old Army rig that I have out, and it's OD green, and it's a green harness, and it's a green camouflage parachute. We'd put 200 feet of rope behind a pickup truck and start running behind a pickup truck, and we would go parasailing up and down the runway behind this thing.
Oh, shit. Well, we did something like
We
that.
call it.
What kind of material did the early, like World War II parachutes? What kind of material were they made out of? Do you know?
They were silk during the war. They were silk, and of course, with the advent, DuPont and Dow, the advent of chemicals and plastics and stuff, they came out with nylon. They came out with something, ripstop nylon.
Yeah.
And the type of material is called F111, is actually the material that most parachutes were made out of through the 70s, 80s, and into the 90s. It's an F111 tight weave nylon ripstop parachute, but it's pretty good when it's new, but it gets porous over time. And then they came out with another type of fabric called zero porosity fabric, where it's basically F111 fabric, but they spray a chemical on it that makes it seal up, and it's more rubberized, and then it's not as porous. So, because the more porous the material is, the poorer the airfoil is going to work, because it's letting more air through instead of supporting you. So now the new 0P canopy, they call it zero porosity, because what you do on a test, you would take a piece of fabric and try to go and suck in. And if you can suck air through it, it's a very porous fabric. That's how you would test your parachute. If you kind of choked when you went and you couldn't suck, or it was very hard, then your canopy was still pretty good. But the second you could put that fabric over your mouth and actually get a good breath of air, it was too porous. So it's doing the same thing in the air when you're skydiving with it. A lot of the air is passing through the canopy, and it's not providing you lift. It's not doing what it's supposed to be doing. With the 0P canopies, it's like saran wrap. You can't pass air through it, so it flies good.
Everybody look
at that. You?
Oh, yes, this is my son. He's
man, good looking boy.
Yeah, he thinks he's good looking too.
Oh, never mind. I should have never said that in public.
Yeah, he's a really neat young man. He's in the Air Force, and he's gotten some training in jumping out of an airplane.
Yeah, I own that same altimeter, the one he's wearing on his chest. That's an Altimaster. That's an Altimaster 2. I have that same altimeter, although mine is on a wrist mount. I never liked it being on my chest, because I never liked looking down when I was skydiving with other people doing relative work. I didn't want to look down, because then you can't see the other people around you. I always kept mine on a wrist mount so I could just glance at it to see where I was at.
Right.
But yeah, it looks like he's jumping some not quite sport gear. It looks like military gear. It does have steering toggles on it, though. Do you know, was he jumping a square parachute? It looks like he might have been jumping a square or a Ram Air.
I don't know. I know if he was on the call, he could tell us all about it, but I don't know. He's been in the Air Force for 10 years. That's not his main occupation. Now, in the military, you change, and now he's into other stuff, and he couldn't even tell me what he's doing exactly. So I'll just leave it at that. But he's not doing this anymore. But I think he did. I know one time he had, last count, like 250 successful jumps, I should say.
Well, that's pretty good, man.
Hey, Charles, was he doing James Bond stuff, and he has to learn how to parachute just in case, or what?
You know what? He couldn't tell me what he does. Couldn't tell me.
That's probably why, just in case he's got to jump out of an airplane.
So anyway, this yeah.
250 jumps. Well, if he makes another 3,750, he'll catch up to me.
Well, that's not gonna happen. But man, that's a lot of jumps you mentioned. Yeah, I heard you say average 400.
I worked in the sport for over 10 years. That was my job. I was a skydiving instructor. I was a tandem master. I've taken over 1,500 people on tandem skydives. I did video and still photography. You know, I've got 500 or 600 camera jumps. And then in addition to that, over 2,000 jumps just on my own for fun, for shits and grins. So I got a little over 4,000 jumps, close to 4,200. So, but I was fortunate to work in the sport. I worked in the sport for 10 years. So you can rack up a lot of jumps that way and you're getting paid, you know?
Yeah. Wow.
We had a friend that him and his brother were into skydiving, and one of his friends, he's a real tough guy and all that kind of stuff. So they get him to jump. So, and they're filming all this with a video camera, and they get him out there, and he steps out under the wing of that Cessna, and he's hanging on to the strut that comes down, and he won't let go, and he's screaming in this video. And all of a sudden, his right hand slips off, and he spins around, and all you see is his face as he goes by. They got video of him on the ground when he lands. He's going nuts. He's jumping up and down and just running around and all this because his adrenaline and stuff was still so high.
That or his PCP was peaking.
Oh my God, it's funny.
He's so glad to be alive, you know.
You know, and I'm like, well, the tough guy ain't afraid of nothing. I don't want to jump out of one of them things.
Is this on YouTube? Is that what you said?
No, it's an old video. You know, back when the video cameras were huge. You know,
right.
if the film.
I'm going to show you guys.
But yeah, my brother would never jump. The whole wedding thing, all the groomsmen and everything all parachuted into the oh
wow,
party afterwards. My brother drove his car up there. He said, I ain't jumping out of no damn. They all parachuted in tuxes and shit.
All right, I'm going to show you my old skydiving video helmet. This is called a Hansen helmet right here.
Oh, that is cool.
And it's a clamshell. You enter from the back. Got a couple of latches there so that the ass end of it swings open. You put your face in this way. This is the platform for the still camera. I used to run a 35 millimeter still camera on the front that would sit on this platform. And then this box here, that's a carbon fiber box for the camera of the time was the Sony TRV 27, which was an $1,800 camera in 1999, digital video camera. And then I ran a Canon Rebel EOS 2000 on the front here with a fisheye lens. That was about a $600 camera setup at the time. And then that's the ring sight. So if you picture my face is in the middle of that, you would line this up. That's your sight, kind of like shooting a gun. Wherever you look at that ring is where the cameras were pointing.
Oh, I see. Okay.
The helmet itself, like I said, it's called a Hansen helmet. This was about a $500 helmet in its day, just for the helmet. 5 bones for the helmet. The carbon fiber box was $200, and then $1,800 worth of video camera, $600 worth of still camera in there. This was about a $3,000 rig back in 1999, 2000.
Wow. That's a lot of money.
What you do, sell pictures and videos to people?
Yeah, people that wanted videos and stills of their skydive, So like the cameraman goes out with you, you videotape their skydive, and then you hand them the roll of film at the end, or you take their digital pictures and put them on a disc. So you go in, you edit the video, you get them their still pictures, video and stills. It costs student $80 is what they paid for a video and still package. And out of that $80, 20 of it paid for the lift ticket for me, for the cameraman, and then I made $60 for every video and still that I shot.
Okay.
So it paid better to shoot video and stills than it did to take people on tandem jumps. I got paid $35 to take a person on a tandem skydive, but I got $60 to shoot video and stills. So video and stills are more lucrative, but not everybody gets video and stills. So when you weren't doing video and stills, you'd go out and tandems, because there's plenty of people that jump that, you know, they're already paying $85 to make a tandem skydive. A lot of them don't have for 80 or $100 to pay for video and stills. So did what you could. This was all state of the art shit, man. In 2000, like I said, there's close to $3,000 in there with all the cameras and everything. You know what it's worth today?
$50.
Nothing. Not because right around that time or shortly after, the Sony PC, the little PC camera came out, and the digital still cameras got super cheap. And I mean, this was obsolete within 4 years of doing it. The technology had changed, and the type.
You make your money back on it or not?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I made it. I made on it when I had it. But I'm saying that's how fast the technology changed. 2000 with skydiving, videography, and still photography.
Now it's all GoPro, right?
I'm sorry.
Mostly all GoPro now on these helmets.
Oh yeah, GoPros. But the Sony PC preceded that. The Sony TRV cameras, the 27 was like the gold standard until the PC came out, until the little one came out. And then when the GoPros came out, it was over after that, because now you didn't need to carry a still camera anymore. You could capture stills from the GoPro.
Yeah.
So you didn't have to run two cameras. Well, and that's the other thing I want to tell you. I had it's not on here now because I sold it, but there used to be a little LED light that went in the ring, and it was green and red. Red was standby, green was go. And I used to have a little button on the side of the camera, or on the side of the helmet. I would push that button, and that would start the video photography going. And for the still camera, there was a cord that I used to have run with gaffer's tape down the side of the helmet, and then that wire would go down the sleeve of my jumpsuit, and then in my hand, I had a little clicker. And that's how you would activate the still camera. So you're in fall, and you're out here, but I've got a device with a wire running down my sleeve with a push button here, and every time I'd push the button, it would take a picture on the still camera.
That's pretty cool.
Video would just run the entire time, but the still camera, you have to actually physically push a button and make the camera remotely take a picture.
Well, you know what I just saw today? A video on Facebook where I think it was 270 guys jumped out of 10 airplanes at 19,000 feet. And then they all formed up and made like this big pattern, like it looked like a big flower, basically.
How many guys?
270.
That's an old video. You need to search for the new ones because they're over 350 now.
Oh, really? Did you ever do anything like that?
The 270 was probably done somewhere in 2000 or 2002, somewhere back then. I have a friend who was on the 350 way, and they did it in Thailand, 350 way, and he was on that in like 2005, 2006. And I believe they've attempted 400 ways. I don't think they've completed one yet. But I do know for a fact that a 350 is the biggest. The 207, that's pretty old news. That's been well, they may have done one recently. A 207 7-way, but
Yeah.
it's not the current record.
What do they call it? A wave? Is that what you're calling it?
Formation.
Oh, formation. Okay.
We call it relative work formations.
I heard that's really dangerous.
It is. They usually prong of one or two people in on those. Usually one person dies on those big waves when they're attempting them. And they do that shit over, 7 days, man. They'll do 20, 30 attempts just to get there because they don't just all jump out and form a formation like that on the first try. Everyone's got to be in their slot. Everyone's got to be where they're supposed to be going. You're talking massive amounts of airplanes. Even if you're using C-130s, with 100 people on each plane, you're talking 3.5 airplanes. I did a lot of 10-way stars that we did a lot of 20 ways at the drop zone I worked at in Michigan that would hold 22 people. So that was like after the end of the workday. We're all working all day, taking students and making money to pay for the drop zone. But at the end, put together a 20-way and just go out and do a 20-way speed star, maybe turn a couple of points, do different formations. Or each different formation is called a point. That's what we call it. So a 20-way formation is completed 4 different formations during that skydive. That's called a 4.20. Okay. Like on a 4-way or a 6-way, you can do 10 or 15 points in a skydive because it's a low number of people, and you get a formation, then you break grips, turn, do another formation. So those are called point. The biggest thing I've ever been on personally is a 50-way Michigan state record, and we used a Twin Otter and a Casa. I don't know how to see that picture, but that's our 50-way formation. That's a Michigan state record, and we did that in 2001. So, and I'm right there. that's me right there. That's me right there.
Oh, that is cool.
Yeah, the big way stuff, it got out of hand. I want to say after 2000 or so. There was a couple of guys, big organizers, Guy Manos and John Jerzak and a few other guys who are known for organizing big skydives. They got the funding, they had the talent, and they went. When they did the first 100-way, that was huge. The first 100-way skydive was like, because it was always like, how big can we go? How big can we go? How big can we go? Do we have the talent? Do we have the jumpers? Do we have the airplanes? It's the same way that we take vacation to go to the Nats for a week or Brodax for a week. These guys, big wave formations, they go somewhere for a week to practice skydiving for big wave formations. There's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, I was seen some video and some guy lost the grip or something. And all of a sudden, it looked like a damn pinball deal. Boing, 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 people bouncing off of each other. And
so that's called a funnel. We call that a funnel. If somebody flies underneath somebody or over someone, you're flying through that person's burble because there's a burble behind you as you're falling. So if someone comes over the top or goes underneath, you suck the air from them, you suck the lift, and then the formation crumbles and other people will get sucked into it. So that's what we call a funnel. You get sucked into a funnel. And at that point, everybody breaks off and looks for clear air. And the skydive's over after a funnel. You're not trying to get stable again and come back in and rebuild the formation.
There was guys there got broken ribs and arms and.
Oh yeah, you can get your ass kicked in a funnel, man. It's everybody's throwing, not throwing elbows, but you're going 120 miles an hour and you're all a bunch of meat missiles with no control because you've got no air to fly. You can't be over or below, above or below someone during a skydive because you don't have air to work with. So once the first 100-way ever hit, then it was like, let's do 125, let's do 150, 175, 200, and they broke all of these milestones. And like I said, I had a good friend of mine that I jumped with in Michigan. He was good enough. He got on the 350 way in Thailand back around 2005, 2006. I know there's been 400 way attempts, but I don't know that they have completed them because I haven't in a few years. But it's dedication.
One,
Like
one or two people die every time.
Not every time, but there on some of these big ways, there's been a few big name people that have gone in. That's the other thing. Like, I would never be invited on a 400 way or a 300 way. You know what I mean? I probably could have way on to the 100 ways back in the 90s because I was pretty current and jumping a lot then. But for me, it was a 50 way. That's the biggest thing I ever did, and I'm happy to do it. You got to get invited to stuff, and you got to show your talent. And if I'll be honest, if you fuck up on the skydive, they cut you. They'll cut you if you can't fly your slot and you can't get to where you're supposed to be, or you're causing problems for everyone else. You get the axe, man.
Yeah.
Oh,
It looked
yeah.
like they had a very specific way of breaking the formation. Like the outer ones broke away first, and then the next band.
Yep. Yeah, you got to have, and everybody's got to leave the formation at a specific predetermined altitude, whether the formation is built or not. You know, that's the other problem you run into. You know, everyone's trying to get there and get their spot, but there's a break-off point where there's no more skydiving. We can't keep trying to get more people because we're running out.
Do y'all have any sort of audio communications in your helmets?
No, nothing like that, man. They just break it up into groups, man, and you look at the people you're jumping with. I mean, more recently, they've been using a lot of color-coded jumpsuits and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they'll have all blue, all red, all yellow, all white, all black. So you know the people, and you leave the airplane next to the person you're supposed to be docking on or holding on to when you get to the formation. It's all very played out. They practice the dive. We call it dirt diving on the ground. They all run out on the tarmac together, and the base. So the base forms, you know, and the base can be anywhere from 5 to 10 people. So the base star forms, and then everyone comes in on their sector and takes a grip and picks up. And once you get there and you've got your grip, all you do is sit there and free fall, stupid happy, and try not to make waves through the formation or anything like that. You just you fly your position. Once you get to where you're supposed to be, you just sit there and you wait for everyone else and you watch your altitude. And when it comes to break off time, when it's time to leave, whether the formation is built or not, you don't know, you don't care. When you hit that predetermined breakoff altitude, everyone on the outside starts leaving, and then closer to the inside, they all start leaving, and everyone opens and deploys at their predetermined altitude to make.
Do you have any sort of grip on your sleeves for your partners to hold on to?
They do. They're on your legs and on your shoulders. So it's basically like a piece of rolled up fabric that's sewn to a tube, and then that's sewn right on your arm or right behind your leg here, between your knee and your ass. Those are called grippers. So you're not actually you're not holding people's hands or grabbing just fabric on their leg. There's actually a little handhold of rolled up and grab. It's called a grip. You come in and you take your grip.
Right.
So if someone dies in this, what happens? They just forget to open?
Well, no, there could be a number. It could be just a standard malfunction. Somebody had a malfunction with their parachute and they didn't deal with it correctly and they die. It could be a collision. Two people collide and fall, and somebody could get, or a collision could open the container and knock both parachutes. A malfunction. Or it could be a canopy collision. After the formation breaks off and everybody opens their parachute, even though they've got open parachutes, two people may run into each other. I mean, it's pretty complicated, man. When you get 300 or 400 people flying parachutes around in a closed piece of airspace, it can get pretty dicey, man. You know, it's easy to run into someone if you're not looking where you're going. And even in free fall, the same thing. When you're in free fall, if you're so focused on where you're supposed to get in the formation, you might not see a guy that's 10 feet away from you, and you guys you run into each other. There's this big formations complicate everything exponentially.
Yeah, there's a lot of opportunity for error
There's
there.
more opportunities for fucking up the bigger the formation gets, and in different aspects too. Like I said, during the free fall part, you can run into each other. During the flying your parachute down to land, you can run into each other. You know. So. Yeah, I tried to sell my helmet on eBay last year for $20, and I didn't get not one bid, man, not one bid, because the box is made for a very specific type of video camera,
Yeah,
which hasn't been used in 18 years. So I don't know. I guess it'll be one of Sam's toys. I guess he can wear it and run around. And I still have I still have the digital video camera that goes in the box, and I still have this camera. But it's technology, man. The shit's worthless. Just a couple years after you get it, it's not worth anything.
Right. And then what size head do you have too?
What's that?
Somebody has to fit that helmet. It means it has to be the right size head.
Well, no, not necessarily, because this one's custom for me.
Yeah.
For my, but you cut me. So it's a carbon fiber shell all the way around, and yes, it does have fabric in it. But you know what's between the fabric and the shell? It's great stuff, foam insulation.
Okay.
You know the great stuff in the can?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Great
stuff. So you wrap your head in saran wrap, your whole head in saran, and you put the shell on your head, and you have your buddy shoot great stuff, and you sit there for an hour with this shell on your head while the great stuff expands around your head, and it custom molds to your head. And the saran wrap, literally, I had my whole face, and just my eyes and my nose were open.
Oh, geez.
And you sit for an hour while the great stuff sets up, and then you pull the helmet off, and then you trim back, all the overflow and the excess and all that shit. And then you use 3M spray to put the felt material in there.
That great stuff will ruin if it gets on your eyeball, it'll ruin your eye in a split second. So I guess you wear goggles when you're doing this, right?
Yeah, I don't remember. I know there was a lot of beer involved when me.
Oh.
A lot of cussing when time to pull the helmet off, because the gray stuff, it expands so tight. The helmet gets so freaking tight on your head. It was almost impossible to pull off my head. It was very hard. And then after that,
hot. Does it get hot when it cures?
No, I don't remember that part of it. But I do remember it was hard to pull the helmet off. And then once it completely cures, you just go in there with a butcher knife, a bread knife, and you saw all the foam off of it. And then you spray it with 3M and put down the felt. And the deal is, what you want is it's locked into your chin, the chin strap part of it.
Yeah.
Folded to your chin, and then the top and the back fits your head. It's custom molded your head. So if somebody wanted to do this, you can cut all that foam out of there and just basically do the same thing if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Well, but it's like back in the 70s there with the Hansen boots, and they were wax fill. They heated that wax up and shot it inside the boots, and you buckle everything down, squirt it out, and then you had to let the wax cool down. They'd seal it, and it'd form to your foot. And we had a friend of mine got it, but he said that wax was hot, and that was the same thing too. It had to cool, set to his foot.
Right.
But he was a hell of a skier, and it was way too much money and shit in a boot for what I needed.
Well, I'm going to get going, guys. But Mike, thanks for the education tonight. It was quite entertaining.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm glad you enjoyed it, man.
Yeah.
Really good, Mike.
I've
Thank
got
you.
all
Yes, it's already 12:30.
Yeah.
I got all kinds of stupid bullshit stories from my youth, man. I can share a lot more.
All right. Looking forward to it.
The skydiving stories are probably the most exciting because
Yeah.
I
We've
got
had
to
a
jump
few nights.
a lot of exotic aircraft and many airplanes at different air shows and boogies and stuff, and that was one of the best parts of my life was the 10 years I spent as an active skydiver. Well, I mean, I jumped for 17 years, but 10 years that I worked in the sport, that I actually worked. I lived in an Airstream trailer on an airport for 10 years, man.
Nice.
Yeah.
I was living the dream, man. Well, I wasn't married. I wasn't married. I didn't have any kids. It was just me I was taking care of. So,
Was this in Michigan?
yeah, in Napoleon, Michigan.
Man, it had to be cold in the winter staying in that Airstream.
No. I didn't work in Michigan during the winter. I went to Florida or Alabama.
Oh, okay.
I worked like April through October in Michigan, and then I would go down south for the winter. So, 2 miles from Michigan Speedway, Steve, from Brooklyn. 2 miles from Brooklyn.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, Napoleon Skydiving Center. So, but yeah,
Well, have a nice holiday, guys. See
Yeah,
you later.
See you later, Frank.
Take it easy,
Have a
Frank.
good weekend. And a good Christmas, too, because I'm not going to be here on Monday night.
Oh, okay.
Sparky's going to do a show Monday night.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Who's going to be on Christmas Eve, man? Nobody's going to be on.
I may be. I got no friends, any place to go, so I might be on there.
Yeah, I might pop in. I mean, not too long. My kids are gonna want to, open up at least one Christmas gift, that kind of
I'll
stuff.
probably pull my phone out and say hi to everybody. If
Way
anybody's
too
on.
young to miss Christmas Eve and all the stuff that goes on with that.
Yeah.
That's the best Christmases.
Yes, it's a lot of fun. I enjoy it immensely.
Yeah. Yeah, when Samantha was little and stuff and young, I mean, they were great. Now she goes and to her sisters and does it with her nieces and nephew and stuff. She has a
Did you say, Steve, you got one of Samantha's friends is living with you now?
yeah.
What's that all about?
She just need a place to stay, so
Just helping somebody out. Is this one of her high school friends or one of her college?
yeah, this is her best friend.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
That's really nice, Steve.
I known her all through school and stuff like that, and so this is a lot closer for her to work, and it don't matter to me because once you heat the house, don't take any more heat, stuff like that. So it don't cost me nothing. She pays for her food, and she works full time, and she's trying to save money to go to college.
So she's not a sponge. She's
No, she's saving money to go to college.
yeah.
She needs a little leg up right now. Well, that's nice of you to do that for her.
Yeah, it's really good, Steve.
She was going to get an apartment, but I try to tell these kids, man, once you get these bills and all this kind of stuff, you ain't never going to save money to go to school. There is no.
You're right.
Electric bills, heat bills. Next thing you know, your car breaks down and all this, and you just don't have any money to go to school or save anything. And any kind of job you get now without a college, you're not going to make any money.
Oh yeah, it's hard to find a livable wage.
Yeah. So,
Hey,
but she's a good kid.
Where's Gerald been, man?
Oh, you know what? I don't know. It's been a coon's age since I've seen Gerald.
That's true.
Al Ferraro too. Al was checking in there for a while, and even Tom, man. What happened?
Yeah.
Him off?
Tom was on.
Tom's on tonight.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, he was on 1113's his last comment on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
He was talking when y'all were talking about electric. Timers. y'all were talking about the Cuban and the KR and FM9 and all that.
Okay.
But yeah, I thought Bob Hunt would be on again, but he's kind of taken a hiatus the last month.
People do that. They come in for a while and they go and they come back.
Yeah.
We need to get Derek Barry on here one night, man.
I asked him if he'd ever watch the show.
Davis in here, man. We need to get Will in here.
Will watches every show. He's in bed by 8 o'clock every night, but he watches them. When he goes to bed, Melissa says she sleeps with Will and me in the bed every night.
That's funny.
Yeah, I mean it is. West Coast. It's not. It's not quite so late, but East Coast. Makes it a little bit harder.
Yeah.
You're 12:30.
I think I better email Gerald. The way he hadn't been lately kind of worries me now that y'all mention it.
Yeah.
Oh, he's
shit to worry about that I hadn't really thought about it till now.
He's commented on some stuff on the Facebook control line page recently, so I know he's checking stuff. Just yesterday, somebody was asking about crop extensions and stuff like that.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Well, one thing too is that this is their big flying part of the year.
Yeah, that's true. It's weather in New Zealand now.
Yeah, because this is their first day of summer and it's our first day of winter.
Yeah.
So I think wasn't today the first day of winter, the 21st?
That's right.
Yeah. Where days are getting longer now for us.
Yeah. We've seen the shortest day of the year.
So, Steve, have they announced where the World Championships in 2020 are going to be, or where the team trials are for 2019?
Poland.
Oh shit, that's my home country, man.
Yep.
Can you speak Polish?
Daje mi buzi.
No, that's a meat pussy.
No, daje mi buzi, not eat what you said. That's the daje mi buzi.
I was going to say, I didn't know that was a Polish phrase, but okay.
So they're in Poland in 2020, and the team trials are where? Do we know?
Probably back in Texas again.
Okay. Is Samantha going for it again?
She says so, but we'll see. It depends on college and stuff like that. If she's got to take any classes in the summer.
Because I tell you what, if she's going to try out, I'm not going to bother taking Samuel. But if she doesn't, I will take Sam to the team trials this year.
Okay.
There's no way Samuel can beat Samantha, so it'll be a waste of time for us to go to the team trials.
You don't think just the experience of it all would be worth the try?
Yeah, I think even if he went to the team trials, it'd be a good thing just for the competition and something close to his own age.
I know that, but I'm not going to lay out that kind of cash to go to a team trials and spend money to go do that if I know he can't make the team, because Samantha will make the team and he won't. It may be a good experience, but you got to understand, Steve, we're going to Brodax, we're going to the Nats, and we're going to hit the 2 Detroit contests, the 2
y'all
contests.
Y'all always do a lot in the summer.
Trying to remember.
I don't want to set them up for failure. You know what I mean?
I'm trying to remember when that was last year, when they held that. Seems like it was in October, I think.
Do they only allow one junior?
Yeah,
only
go.
What'd you say, Steve?
I said only one junior gets to go.
Only one junior.
Okay.
So, I mean, if he was going up against other kids his age, I would send him, because I think he could beat them. But he could not beat Samantha, So we'll wait. if Samantha's going to go again, we'll wait till the next cycle. You know.
Yeah, I guess I can see the sense in that.
The other thing would be is that you could take him to the European Championships. They say that is really where these other kids come up. The judges get to know them and all this kind of stuff.
What is it? You broke up on me when you were saying it.
The European Championships. It's the week before the Worlds. You know, but everybody in Europe, all the kids there, they're all in front of these judges and everyone else, you know, before they go to the World Championships.
Before they go, do you know where in Poland it's going to be? Is it going to be in Warsaw?
I'm not sure. They just said it was going to be in Poland. And
those are my people, man. Those are my
Have you ever been there?
No, I've never been there, but my my great-grandparents emigrated from Poland. So my grandpa was actually born in Poland and emigrated to the United States when he was like 6. But that's where my dad's side of the family comes from.
Where did they come into the United States?
They came into New York, of course, where everybody else does.
Yeah.
A few of them stayed there, and then the rest of them came to Michigan.
Yeah, we have a huge Polish population in Grand Rapids.
Yeah, well, I'm a Polak from Detroit, Steve. So
you're right.
I mean,
so you know, it's like all the West Siders are all Polish. You know, if someone says they're a West Sider, then we know they're Polish. Back when I was a kid. And
I mean, my name doesn't end in ski, but it's Lonke. You know, that's
That could have changed over the years. Families dabble with their names sometimes.
What's so funny is that my dad's from Florida. So he comes up here and he meets my mom and stuff. And then he goes into the service and stuff. And then out of the service, they come back up here. And he comes home from work. He worked at York Bands making band instruments. And he comes home from work and he goes, Liz, what in the hell is a Polak?
Hey, don't use those derogatory racist terms with me, man.
You just said you were a Polak from Detroit.
Yeah, I know I did.
But but he didn't know what a Hollander was, and he didn't know what a Polak was.
Right.
You know,
what's a Hollander?
Huh?
What's a Hollander?
That's someone from the Netherlands.
Oh.
That's a derogatory remark here. Everybody, you know.
Well, who are the Dutch?
Huh?
Who are the Dutch? Is that Norway?
Yeah, the Dutch.
But Germany's Deutschland isn't. They call themselves Dutch too, don't they?
Yeah, Pennsylvania Dutch.
Deutschland.
Yeah, Deutschland. But you know, it's just the thing here. We had the Russians. We have a big Russian population, Polish, and from the Netherlands.
Well, my kid's Russian. Sam's a Russian.
Yeah, I mean, we have all these Russian Orthodox churches still in Grand Rapids. They're beautiful. I mean,
I've got 2 Russians that I don't mind colluding with living under my roof, man. Sam and Emma, they're both Russians, you know, so.
Yeah, but Grand Rapids, it's a good sized town. But I mean, we had all the different ethnic groups, you know, from here. But I just found out because I do work in the we call it the Holland Museum because it's in Holland, Michigan. But
Tulip Festival.
Yeah, I got the Tulip Festival and everything. But there, I didn't realize that New Jersey one time was part of the Netherlands. And then it was taken over by the British and stuff. And then they all kind of migrated out of New Jersey and came to Michigan somehow. And that's how, you know, they end up with Holland, Michigan, because we got windmills here. You know, got that big old windmill and stuff here.
Dude, I've been to Holland 100 times, man. I know it well, man.
Yeah. Yes, it's a pretty nice town.
South Haven, Ludington, all that shit on the west coast of Michigan on Michigan Lake Michigan. So what do you think the odds are that Sammy's going to try out, man? I mean, you got to wait and see if she's going to have college courses or what.
Yeah, that's really kind of the biggest thing. And, you know, it's probably going to be done again in October. And I mean, that's right in the middle of it depends on when her classes are and stuff like that. How her next semester classes is, she only goes to school on Tuesdays and Thursdays. But that doesn't mean, you know, if they do it on a weekend, we can take off and get there. But if she's got a Friday class, I mean, it'd make it hell to get there, you know, to fly on a Saturday.
But you're building another airplane for her right now, right? Weren't you showing that last week?
Yeah, yep.
What is that you're building?
It's a Staris with a SV11 front end on it.
Is that going to be electric or gas?
Electric.
Electric. Okay.
Yeah, it won't be a take apart or anything.
So how do you get that to Poland if you got to go to Poland?
We won't take that one. She's got her other take apart.
The other take apart. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so she has that other airplane and everything. So
if you go to the World Championships in another country, you have to have a take apart airplane, is what you're saying.
You don't have to. You could build a big box and put it in and ship it over there FedEx or whatever. I don't know what it would cost. And have it go through customs and all that kind of stuff. But if Samantha doesn't go and Sam wants, you know, Sam goes or whatever, you take apart with you. You have to worry about an airplane.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome. My other hope was that at some point, I mean, Sam's just 10, so before he's out of junior, we've got like 3, probably 4 cycles of World Championship to go.
Yeah.
My hope was they'd have one in the States, you know, while he's still a junior.
And that would be good.
That would be freaking awesome, man.
Well, that was, you know, the deal with Samantha and the last one in 2018, and then the United States didn't do it, but we could have got that one. They wouldn't do it, but I mean, we need a big push for it being here.
I would love that.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have it at Triple Tree.
If it had it happen in the next 3 cycles, Sam could. I mean, shit, he could fire a Brodak SV11.
Next 3, the next 5. You can fly to your 21 now.
Oh, is it 21? It's 21. So, yeah, you're right. The next 5 cycles, he'd be under. So, I mean, I know we'll get there at some point. I mean, we'll get to the point where he's going to be able to try out for the team. And hopefully sometime in the next 5 cycles, he'll make the team and be able to go. It would just be, I mean, I get the awesomeness of going to another country and representing the United States for a world championship is great, but it'd be a hell of a lot easier on us if the world championship
is here.
Right. That's all I'm saying, you know.
It makes a big difference.
If he made the team and we had to go to another country, I'd do it. I'd pony up for it. You know, my wife would too. We'd make it happen. We're not going to not let him go, you know.
Well, see, that's one thing, too, with these guys in Europe. They don't have to have take-apart airplanes.
Right, right.
You know, they said that was the biggest thing with Igor when he was in Australia. His take-apart airplane did not fly the same as the built-up. Let her outside. She hasn't been outside for a bit.
Well, I hope I get the opportunity to do with Samuel what you got to do with Samantha last year.
Oh, I think so.
Before he's grown up.
He's 10 now.
Yeah.
I think when he's 14 would be the real great one for him to go to. I mean, that's when teenagers really have to get their reflexes in and stuff like that. I mean, you can really tell like a kid from Russia. You know, he was 15.
Well, he's no slouch right now. I think he's probably the hottest 10-year-old in the country right now flying control. I can honestly say that.
I'll bet you're right. Yeah.
Not trying to brag or take anything away from the other kids flying in the U.S. right now, but Sam's a pretty hot shit 10-year-old. I mean, Christ, he's flying combat.
Yeah.
That's going to help all of his stunt stuff.
Well,
Samantha,
you might get him into the combat deal for the World Championships too.
no, I can't. We're not flying F2D, man. Steve, that's a whole nother big money pit and a whole nother set of stuff. We're not. I mean, us flying speed limit and half A, that's one thing. But combat under FAI rules, it's too freaking complicated, man.
Oh, okay.
And it's a bunch of money. The Fora engines for F2D combat are $350 a piece, and you got to have 10 engines when you go to a contest, and you got to have 20 airplanes because you fly 2 airplanes per match. You're allowed 2 airplanes per match. The equipment cost alone is prohibitive for us. I mean,
yeah, that's a lot of cash.
Somebody posted on YouTube earlier that they're going to a Nelson only combat contest. I don't remember when it was, and I'd have to search back through the YouTube post to find it.
Nelson only?
Yeah.
Well, what size Nelson? 15 or 36?
I don't know if it said. I'm scrolling back up to see if I see. That might have been Jeff Riley. No, not that post anyway. Oh, Minnesota Mike, New Year's Day, we're flying Nelson 36 combat.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's fast. That's fast combat, Rusty. That's big block fast.
Really?
Yeah, that's big block fast. That's 125, 130 mile an hour fast combat.
Yeah, I think Mike's with us. Yeah, Mike's with us now. Be sure and get some video we can see, Mike.
Where's that contest at? Were they flying big block at?
Mike was probably in California. That's where Mike lives.
Okay. Why does Minnesota Mike live in California?
Well, the name of his race car was Minnesota Mike, I think, and he's from Minnesota or lived there when he named his race car. Anyway, I guess he's known widely about racing forums as Minnesota Mike. Probably, I'm just guessing here, but I think
that's cool that they're having like a big block fast contest. Awesome. I like fast. The only place I get to fly it is Detroit. Still has fast combat, and I fly it at the Nats.
Yeah, if Sam goes, we'll get
it at Hunters.
Hooked up with airplane and all that kind of stuff, Mike. Because that's the killer in the whole thing. I mean, the next you go see the World Championships, it won't be so damn expensive. I mean, that airplane I had $3,000 in.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, by the time you have a backup motor, backup speed controller, backup this, price of the airplane. Huh?
Is that the one that Samuel could use?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we're not doing that. I can't borrow a $3,000 airplane from you, man.
Well, not everything would get wrecked if it got wrecked, you know.
I don't know that we could do that. That's a generous offer.
Just for the take apart airplane, you know, to get it right.
That's
but
I appreciate you saying that, but now that you told me how much it costs, that's a pretty big tomato to say I'm going to let your kid borrow this plane to go there. I don't think I'd be comfortable doing that, Steve.
It's only an airplane. There's 2 types of airplanes, Mike. Ones that have crashed and ones that will crash.
Yeah, I understand that, but yeah, we can talk about this again later some other time,
but if you know, if he makes the team and stuff like that, then he flies good enough that I ain't worried about the airplane.
Yeah, well, if he made
it got beat up more on the trip than it did anything else.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, though, there'll be a year from the time he makes the team until he actually has to go, and he could team with anything, right?
Yeah, as long as you get it there. You know.
Well, I mean, saying the airplane he flies to make the team doesn't have to be the airplane he
No,
flies.
no.
So if you did make the team, that would give me time to beg, borrow, steal, or build an airplane, but not borrow a $3,000 airplane. That's what I'm getting.
Yeah, I have other ideas, but that was just I paid Chris for all the help because I mean that they're so complicated, and to get them straight and everything else, so
Yeah,
then
I mean, I would probably do a similar thing. I would enlist the help of a good builder, and I mean, you got as much in that plane as what a Yatsenko costs, right?
now they're about
Pretty close. They're $3,500, right?
yeah $3,500, but then you got the motor, the batteries. That's what all adds. It's just not the airplane. The airplane itself is probably $1,300. I got into just the airplane, but each Igor setup, I took two with me. They're $500 a piece.
Right.
The batteries were $80 a piece.
Sure. Yeah.
So that stuff, you bring back and you can still get to use and everything. And I sold off one of the, one of the Igor setups. You got $500 back.
I got it.
But now that more people are using these and stuff, you could probably borrow a spare to take along with you just in case.
Yeah.
Where you ain't gonna hurt it now. Just
Jeff Riley says he got to fly Ron Cash's plane with a Nelson. He said it was thrilling. Yeah, I bet it was. Yeah, Minnesota Mike says he's was born and raised in Michigan, and I mean in Minnesota, and let's see, and I think he lives in Fresno now. So.
Fresno.
But as it sets now, I only get 25 because I forgot I sold that Igor setup when I got back, so that was $500. But
hey, Minnesota Mike, I got a question for you. If you've ever been to the Macy's department store in Fresno, California, at the mall, when I was there in 1983, they had poured fresh cement outside the Fresno Macy's at the mall, and they were letting people write their names in the wet cement outside that mall. And I wrote Detroit Rocks in the wet cement at the Fresno Macy's Mall in 1983. And I went back there in 89 and it was still there. If that mall is still standing and the Macy's is still there, somewhere on that sidewalk, because everyone was putting their handprints in it and writing their name, they let them do it, And I wrote Detroit Rocks at the Macy's in Fresno.
That's pretty cool.
For you.
Yeah, take a look and see if it's still there.
I know one thing. If one day, if it's still there too, I want to go to New York and go to the Macy's there.
Yeah, it's still there. They had the parade, man.
Yeah, I know they have the parade, but I wonder if the building is still there and all that kind of stuff.
Like still there. The parade, the center, the end where all the commentators are, is right in front of the Macy's building.
Oh, okay.
They still pay for it. It's the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, man. They still sponsor it. They still pay for it.
Wow.
And we're I think two of the networks carry the parade.
Is that where the commentators are at the end of the parade?
The commentators are at the end of the parade, right in front of the store, and that's where they all stop and do the bands play and the performance thing, and then when the floats come by is right at the end of the parade. Yeah, it's
my nephew played drums with a Lexington High School band from Columbia. Well, from Lexington, South Carolina.
Like a 10-story building or something like that?
I'd say it's probably 10. Yeah, it's pretty big. I mean, it's a department store, and every floor is different. Fourth floor, ladies' lingerie, or whatever.
I always, because when I was a kid, we had Montgomery Ward here, and they were always 2-story buildings, and it was neat. You got to ride the escalator up and go to the next floor. I thought that was so neat, and I'm just like, I can't imagine when this 10 stories high and you go to all the different floors for different stuff. And
well, you remember the Detroit parade was always sponsored by Woolworths. Remember
yeah,
Woolworths and Company?
Yeah.
yeah,
When the old Detroit parade was, well, it's still on Grand River. Even now, Detroit still has a Thanksgiving Day parade on Grand River. But it was Woolworths. And of course, Montgomery Ward. My dad always called it Monkey Ward.
Yeah, I've heard that.
I still got.
All that stuff's gone, man. Sears, Monkey Wards, J.C. Penney, Woolworth, Kresge. You remember Kresge's?
Yeah, I do.
That's Kmart.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Kresge. SS Kresge. Yep.
In Woolworths now is Foot Locker.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Woolworths still own Foot Locker. Yeah, that's what they became. Yeah, they're still huge. I guess they're still in their. I don't know where Woolworths, if it was in New York or in Chicago, but wherever they started, that building is still there and stuff, and the Woolworths building.
Hey, have you talked to Dick lately, man?
I haven't. It's been a couple weeks.
I want that airplane that he got from Brodax with that PA 75, because I got a 75, man. I want that airplane.
I don't think he's doing nothing with it. He'll probably let you have it. Hell, I sold it to him for $100.
You bought it for 150 though from Mark Weiss, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I should have bought that plane. I don't know why. Well, I didn't because I didn't have room. There was not an inch of space in our truck at Brodax to put one more airplane in.
Well, that's the same thing. We had everything packed in there, and I don't know how we did it, but we punched a little hole in the top of the wing and put a little piece of tape over it. But
I saw Mark bring that airplane out and set it down with that $150 price tag, and I looked at it. I said, "What engine goes in it?" He said, "It's a PA 75." I said, "How much is that going to be?" He's like, $500 or something. And I thought, man, I should buy this because it's a beautiful airplane. I know I don't have an engine for it, but I should buy it because the price is right. But I could not physically get it in the trunk. We were so jam-packed with shit. I think we took 27 airplanes to Brodax that first year we went. I'm not kidding. 27. I mean, granted, 12 of them were combat planes. They don't take up a lot of space.
That was the same year we took combat planes. We took a profile. We took
yeah, Samantha flew speed limit that year. I remember that.
Yeah, and then we took the classic airplane, and then we took her regular airplane. So we had all that Subaru, and then we got that damn that big ass SV22 in there. That was a monster. And we ended up having to put it in upside down and do something because the wingspan was so long. And
is that what that plane was? Is it an SV22?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean that's what that gray one is, and that's what that yellow one is.
Yeah, same one.
Yeah, but that one's set up for a 75, so that's nice because it's set up for a 75. These are set up for 61s or 65s.
Yeah.
And I think the mounting pattern on the 75 is different.
Yeah, it's just a little bit. I'm not sure what that one's set on. I had to do a little bit of modification, and I got that 61 to work in it fine.
Remember that one?
Oh yeah, yep.
That's Dick's Checkmate. That's the one he gave to Sam at the Nats when he crashed his Nats plane for beginner. And then the Showtime. Dick's Showtime.
Oh, you got the Showtime too?
Yeah, that was on the table, on the prize table, and since Sam won beginner, that was the first thing he picked. He took the Showtime. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, Sam says the Showtime is going to be his.
Oh, he froze up.
Yeah, we lost you there, Mike.
Yeah, I got too far away from the Wi-Fi extender.
What's the Showtime going to be?
His intermediate airplane.
Oh, cool.
For full pattern, because he's really on the edge of getting out of beginner and flying full pattern. So
What's he got left to do on the full pattern?
well, at the Nats last year in practice, I mean, he did some clovers. He did the hourglass. He did vertical eights. He can do inside squares. He hasn't tried outside squares yet. And he's done square eights with a square inside and then kind of a round outside.
Yeah.
You know, does a square for the inside and then a round outside and then a square inside and a round outside.
Yeah.
He's close, man. He's close.
What about, did you say overhead eights? Is he doing that too?
Oh, yeah, because that's in the beginner. He can, yeah.
Oh, that's right. It is. Forgot.
Yeah, he can do overhead eight. He can do the reverse wing over. That's no problem. You know, he ain't scared of that.
Yeah, he can do more. He just got to put it all together.
He's got to put it all together. He's got the shapes. He has control of the airplane. He's mastered control of the airplane. It's just a matter of putting it all in the right order. He can do, because I put him on a speed limit combat plane. He just goes out there and rings it out. You know, he's doing everything. He can fly inverted. He can do the outsides. He can do the eights. He just has to learn the shapes and when to turn and how big they're supposed to be.
Once he gets through the full pattern once or twice, the kids learn so fast. So it's just getting him to do it the first time.
Right. Once he gets the shapes, be sure and point out exactly where the start and finish lines are in the middle of the stunt, because a lot of people misunderstand those.
Well, I think what we're probably going to end up doing, if we don't get a whole lot of flying time this spring before Huntersville, what we'll do is when we go to Brodax, we're going to take the slow combat planes with 30 on them, and I'll get them through the pattern with a slow combat plane that flies faster than a stunt plane and has lots of line tension and is more responsive, just to get him flying the shapes and doing the maneuvers. Because you know what, a stunt plane, sometimes they're a little not so tight on the lines, you know, and it makes it harder for them.
Emergency pullouts are a lot easier with a combat plane too.
Exactly. But I mean, a slow combat plane with a 36, not going 80 miles an hour, but 60 miles an hour, but it's got a lot of line tension and enough for him to pull out and not crash the plane.
Yeah.
You know what it's like flying a stunt plane. If you turn in the wrong place with the wind and it gets a little light on the lines, you got to know what to do to save that.
Yeah.
To fix that. And a 10-year-old, he ain't gonna know what to do. You know, that's why he'll crash.
Yeah. Like I said, once it gets about 3 full patterns in, then they're not so much thinking about what to do next, and they just fly it. And once they can just fly it, then they start getting so much better, so much faster.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll come real quick. Like once he does the pattern a few times, it'll be nothing to him.
Yeah, I think it'll just be easier for him to learn it that plane with some line tension, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great idea.
Something we don't care about that he can stuff into the ground, because I got 10 of them up there. I got 10 slow combats.
Yeah.
I can bring them all and just change the motor over, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. Hey, guys, I'm getting off here. See you later, Charles.
Okay, yeah.
Anyway.
It's getting pretty late. It's after 1 o'clock, so we can call it a night. This was a great show. Had a good time tonight.
Yeah.
Same here.
Man, I'm feeling so much better than I have in about 2 years now. So.
Yeah, before we get out of here, Rusty, excuse me. I wanted to ask you, how's your hip? How are you mending? How's the metal? How's the screws?
Everything seems right. It's actually a pretty simple device, but they x-rayed it once on December the 6th, and it's been a month this week since the surgery, and I won't get any more information about it until the 11th of 10th of January. And and that'll be to check and make sure nothing is displaced. And I'm being as careful as I can on it. And just, you know, I got a tiptoe butterfly light steps with that left leg, and it's hard to do all the time without putting, and I know I've put all my weight on it a few times, but they're just being really cautious with me.
Well, just don't go out New Year's Eve drinking and dancing. I think you'd be okay.
Yeah, right. I'm looking forward to dancing again. I used to like to bust it out to some good rock music with Holly, and it's been a long time since I've been able to do that.
Yeah, I think it's going to go good for you. You just got to do what they say, and you know, not try to do too much.
Let me show you before we close up. Let me show you.
Feeling strong. You're feeling strong.
Pretty good considering I've been beat down for so long. I'm skinny as Sam is. You know, I got stick legs, and my range of motion in my shoulders is all fucked up, and I got a lot to recover from. But I think the hip itself is on track, and there's no noticeable pain in it until I hit my, you know, range of motion, which I stay away from the end of my range of motion. And it's going so much better, so much faster than last winter's recovery. And so yeah, I just got high hopes for this one.
Good. I want to see you back on the circle, man.
Yeah, most people, me too. Most people that are otherwise healthy would have been on full weight already, you know, but they're just, you know, taking real precautions with me. So I'm glad the doctors are on with that. So just gotta make it through another winter, and I think I'm pretty confident that I'm going to be good to go. And Holly wanted me to show y'all her ugly sweater pictures. So before we close up, I'm going to show you Holly's ugly sweater pictures. Right. They had an ugly sweater Christmas party the other day.
Did she have a sweater with a picture of you on it?
I helped her make it. No, it does have a picture of me on it.
Oh, sure. You win, winner.
I'm sorry, man. I couldn't resist. He just that one up just right, man.
Yeah. Right. Walk right into that one. We put stickers all over it. It's about to pop up in just a second. We put stickers all over it and stuff. She didn't have a contest winner, but let's see, screen share and application window, and okay, there is the shot from behind, and
oh my gosh.
Yeah, let me drag it.
Pretty ugly, man.
Yeah, and the tags have all kinds of crazy people's names on them and
very cool
stuff. And there she is from the front. So
yeah,
very nice.
Well, just tell her that Mike said if she puts your picture on it next year, she'll win.
She's a shoe-in, man. She's a shoe-in. Yeah. Just
put
your face plastered right on there.
Oh, man. God. Oh, that's gross.
That's funny.
Okay, guys. Have a good one.
Man. Y'all have a great Christmas.
I don't see you Monday. You guys have a Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Hopefully we'll see you before.
He's going to try to do a show Monday. I will not. So everybody have a great Christmas, man.
Take it easy.
All right. Y'all take it easy.
Yep. Bye.
Here we go. Stop broadcast. Boom.